Okay, so essentially, I know that fat loss does get a lot harder after 40 for many reasons for guys and girls, right? But what I'll do is I want to show you today basically my five like core principles that you really need to nail down, right? And I think hopefully you'll get a lot of light bulb moments in this presentation, and then really start to level up your training, nutrition, and your mindset as we go through this. And I'll show you that you can do all of this without any crazy diet restrictions or obsessing about loads of weird stuff online that you see, because I am absolutely sure that when you go online you see so much conflicting information. You know, there's someone telling you about the carnivore diet, there's someone telling you about another kind of diet that you need to be doing, and I totally hear that that stuff is like super confusing, when in reality it's a lot more simple. So like I said, I'll go through training, nutrition, all the mindset stuff, and then I'll try to show you as well some examples of the people that I've worked with and the girls that I've worked with over many years, and a lot of these very recent, yeah, to try to give you that visual aspect. Yeah, okay. Someone asked me if I'm recording. Absolutely, I am recording, and you will get a recording of this on Tuesday with all the follow-up. So, good stuff. Now, oh yeah, a lot of you always ask me about my ebook. If you haven't got this already, I'll move this over here. If any of you have got my ebook, put a little comment in the chat. Let me know if you've got it. Let others know if it's any good or if it's useless. If it is really good, it helps other people. Nice one. If you want a 50% off, you can basically do two things, right? Don't have to do it now. You can do, but if you basically either scan that code, right, it will take you to a specific page, and then if you use, great work, if you've got it, nice one, if you just type in the word magic, you'll get like a big discount off of what is in the checkout. So just type in the word, apply the word magic. I should have changed it since my last masterclass, so I know who's here, but that will give you access to a nice discount on the ebook. And if you haven't got it already, like I said, it's basically all of my one easy, simple, one-pot dish stuff for breakfast, lunch, dinner. You've got some vegetarian options and stuff in there. Excellent. People always ask me, yes, is number 2 on the way? I'm hoping to come out of it in October, and I want to make it the absolute best thing for you lot, to give you more of what you love, and some other cool ones as well. So that is that, and like I said, you've got stuff that you can scan in. Everything is designed for absolute maximum simplicity, right, in the ebook. So if you want to go and grab that, then you can do that. Nice one. Okie doke. So what makes this different? Well, firstly, I'm going to be here with you, guiding you through everything today. And I actually want you to get some real take-home points from everything that we're going to chat about today. And yeah, we're going to make this as interactive as we can as well. Quick bit of context about me and Oscar, because obviously he's the main star of the show, because everyone's like, do you feed the dog? I'm like, yes, he always gets his bite. He gets his bits of chicken, so don't worry. But ultimately what I do is I help women essentially cut through a lot of the confusion, look and feel their best in 90 days and beyond. And I try to cut out all of the fluff and the nonsense, and just show people that, you know, it's really just about getting the basics right, doing it to a high level, and that magic kind of, showing you that it's about consistency and doing all the basic stuff really well. I've coached obviously over 1,000 ladies over the last decade to get in incredible shape. That's what I do. As some of you know, I've got a boot camp in London. So someone asked how long the session will be. I reckon about 40 minutes. I'll try to go through all the main points as best I can. So yeah, basically I've worked with women all my life. I've done this for like, 15 years at the grand age of 36. So that's me. I live in London. I run my ladies only boot camp. That is my mum in the top left, and the reason that she's extra special to me is because she does my strength training sessions on a Monday morning. So I go with her in the gym on a Monday. So for anyone who ever says to me, I don't have time, or I can't do it, or I'm too old, or I'm too this, trust me, my mum's got a dodgy shoulder. She always moans at me when we go in and train, but she gets it done, and she does like a couple of home workouts, right? And all you need to do is the basics to a high level, right? And I spend the extra time for her as well because I'm an only child, you see. So I give her that extra time and live with me and the dog, Oscar, as you probably know. And I'm someone very much who likes to be outdoors. Okay, that is really my thing. So I'm a very simple man. Right. Now let's get straight into it. Let me make the screen a bit smaller. There we go. Just like that. Nice one. So, I know that when we were all younger, weight loss felt like it was just a lot easier, right? You could skip meals and weight would fall off. You know, there wasn't really too much stress, no overthinking. You go out on Friday nights and you really wouldn't bat too much of an eyelid, and you probably had a lot of control in that, and you definitely saw results a lot faster, right? But as you get older, so does, like, things change and your body changes, and so does your lifestyle, right? So, you know, nowadays, right, it always feels like basically you're doing everything right, but you're not quite getting the results that you want. These are like a lot of the frustrations that I see. You follow advice, you don't always get the progress that you're looking for. And I hear this a lot. It's not, someone asks, is this just for women? Technically, no. All of my principles will apply for guys and girls. So I promise you, I work with guys and girls, but mostly it's ladies. But yeah, it always feels like nothing works anymore. But I'll show you how you can change that. And the things that change after you hit 40 in particular, it's those hormonal shifts that peri and post menopause that you have to deal with, and I totally understand those challenges because I work with those day in, day out in my coaching, right? There's a lot of lifestyle changes that you never really realize, and I'm going to show you really clearly and hopefully break this down for you where you go, oh my god, I didn't really think of it like that, right? When it comes down to the lifestyle stuff, because this is a massive thing as well that people don't realize. And then there's a massive emphasis on like muscle loss, because people lose muscle 3 to 8% per decade, which has a massive effect on your metabolism. So this is something that you need to counter, because after the age of 30, in particular 40, you're kind of fighting a little bit of an uphill battle, right? Nothing that you can't overcome and make loads of progress with. You just need to be aware of it and actually like know what to do. Okay. And I always like to tell people, look, what is the actual cost of getting it wrong, not doing anything about it, and just delaying and being like, I'll start this next month, or I'll deal with this problem. You keep kicking the can down the road, right? Is that you keep yourself in this perpetual cycle of endless yo-yo diets, which we don't want, okay? You waste time and money. For me, this is one of the biggest ones, because you get people who, they chat to me and they're like, I've been trying for years, I just can't seem to shift anyway. And some people just keep creeping up even though they are trying new stuff, right? And they go on new diets and they waste time and money, right? And ultimately you feel worse about yourself because you're not in a place where you are looking your best, feeling your best, and you can really feel that, right? So I totally understand that as well. And if you don't do something about it now, right, you end up with some kind of health complications later on down the road, because ultimately prevention is the best cure. You don't want to be that person at getting to like 50, 60, 70, and you're like, oh, I can't move, I'm limited of my mobility, I've got pre-diabetes, I've got diabetes, I've got thyroid problems, all of these sorts of stuff. Most of this stuff is lifestyle and can be prevented, right? And I don't want people to just like live long. I want people to have like just a long quality of life, like where right up until your 70s, 80s, 90s, you can still do the things that hopefully you do now. And I don't want you to be someone who is like, very limited, right? And ultimately missing out on life, right? Because I get a lot of people who are like, I want to go on a walk, I want to go on a hike, I want to walk. I've got 2 clients with me at the minute in my coaching who are like, I've got the goal of wanting to do Kilimanjaro. They're going out to like to Africa to do that, right? And before they started with me, they weren't able to do that. But having stuff like that in the diary and doing amazing experiences like that is another reason that I want you to look and feel your best, right? And essentially, you've got 5 steps, okay, that I'm going to walk you through today. Each one of these, very important, right? But you need to combine all of these together, okay, in order to really start seeing results, which is we'll talk about like your metabolism, the nutrition, and the training. And then we'll talk about like habits, integration, and the mindset as well, and how to tie all this together. And I will show you examples of everything as we're going along, right, to make things hopefully nice, simple, easy, and visual. And I'll show you some take-home stuff in terms of how you can actually apply this in real life, okay? So, you hear this word a lot, quite a big buzzword, right? Metabolism. There's essentially three big components which like make up your metabolism, right? You've got the changes which are like muscle loss, so people lose muscle as they get older, okay? And like I said, you have these shifts in lifestyle where before you were naturally more active. Now you sit around more. You don't move as much. Your step count is down, you know, with every 5-10 years, right? You're in more sedentary jobs and stuff like that, right? This is something that 100% contributes to your metabolism. So we'll kind of go through that as well. And there is 100% that hormonal shift which is going on in your body that you need to combat, okay? So we'll talk about that. And number one, like I said, with that muscle loss, I can't stress how important this all is with the muscle, okay? After the age of 30, like I said, your bone density is basically staying the same or declining, okay? That's kind of like your set point of wherever you are about 30 years old, right? And then you want to basically make sure that you're doing that strength training, which is really, really important. So you can actually be someone who is not losing 3 to 8% of your muscle every single decade, and you can actually be that person who is gaining 3 to 8%, right, every single decade if you train properly. And you can do that with 2 to 3 really simple strength sessions every single week, okay? Sarcopenia is basically a fancy word for muscle loss as you get older, right? And like I said, your bone density decreases about 1 to 2% every single year, right? So if you have a low bone density, you're basically frail and brittle. And we don't want to be frail and brittle. We want to be strong, right? Capable, like moving into every single next decade of your life, okay? And you know what? The average person will lose around 30%, okay, of their muscle mass by the age of 60, okay? If you basically do nothing, okay? And do you know what that equates to? That equates to 200 calories every single day that you could have been burning that you are now not, okay? Because essentially it's like you take two cars. I love an analogy, right? You've got a Lamborghini or a Ferrari, and then you've got a Polo. If you both drive them at 30 miles an hour, which one is going to burn more fuel? The sports car, right? The Ferrari, the Lamborghini, because it has bigger engine, right? It has more muscle power, right? That's a good way to kind of think about things, right? So that is essentially how you want to think about muscle. Super important. We're going to show you how you can build that up and what you need to do. The lifestyle is super important as well. Like I said, people who have desk jobs or they drive everywhere when they used to be active and they just like need to sit down and they don't do anything. It's such a massive thing, and I'll show you these numbers in a minute, right? And again, the calorie difference that comes from this, again, is usually another 200 to 400, sometimes more for a lot of people. You don't realise it. And it's all of these compounding reasons that make everything so much harder as you get older, okay? So we kind of spoke about that, and there is a need for, I actually think I needed to update the slides on this one, but I didn't update them. But it's really important to basically have more protein as you're getting older, because you need that for the muscle building and the muscle preserving effect when you are when you're thinking about strength and muscle, right? So we'll go through that in a bit, but check this example out, right? So this is you, or it's Sarah, we'll call her Sarah, at age 25, right? She burns around 1450 calories every single day doing nothing. She does about 10,000 steps, and she has 50 kilos of muscle on her. So, she burns around 2,200 calories in a day, right? That is what, most 25-year-olds on average will do, okay? And when you get older, this is what actually tends to happen, okay? So you will naturally have a lower BMR, which is basically how many calories you burn at rest. So that naturally declines as you get older. You do less steps and you have less muscle. And the way that that looks is it can be a difference of anywhere between like 700 to 800 calories compared to when you were 25, okay? And what that actually looks like is you lose 100 calories maybe for your BMR over here. Maybe you burn 300 calories less from the steps that you do. And again, because you do less exercise and you have less muscle, this is kind of what it actually ends up looking like, right? And it always, I promise you, the answer is always down to calories, and then it's down to like protein, fiber, how you manage everything within those calories. But it is 100% a calorie game, right? Don't let anyone tell you that it is something different. All diets do exactly the same thing, and we'll talk about the nutrition side in a minute, okay? So this is kind of how it looks like on a numbers point of view, and why it's so important, right? And this is Kat, who worked with me, and she dropped in her first 90 days with me, just applying and paying attention to protein, metabolism, nutrition, 18 kilos in 90 days, right? And before, when she started with me, again, she was in that endless like yo-yo, just stuck. She was actually like really slowly increasing her weight, and she basically avoided social events, going out and stuff like that, and super low energy. And after she'd actually implemented the stuff that I told her to do, okay, she was able to double her energy, obviously slim her waistline dramatically, and obviously is a completely different person after that, right? So that's an example of like what you can do in 90 days. Now, the stuff that people follow me for the most, and a lot of you are going to ask me loads of questions, right, is the nutrition. And I want to start off by saying a couple of things that I don't want you to do, okay? Which is, the first one is, I would ideally like people to not follow diets, because all diets do the same thing. They cut out a food group, okay? And what they will do is they will, by default, by restriction, make you eat less calories. And people will oftentimes associate the weight loss or the effects of something magical. You will hear buzzwords like metabolism, insulin, all of this kind of stuff, right? But it's not really true, right? It's all, again, it's down to a calorie game, and most diets will basically do that for you, right? I advise people not to go less than 1,000 calories. Don't do that. Don't do crazy restrictions. You do not need to do it. You need something that is effortless week on week, okay? You don't need something that is another crash diet and just hitting the accelerator. You don't need that. You need something that is like giving you progress week on week, right? You don't need to restrict the foods that you enjoy, okay? And you don't need to say no to social events. There's no such thing as necessarily good or bad foods. It's how they serve you. Some foods are better than others, obviously. You know what I promote and I show you on my page. I'm like, have more of this. Here's how to have high protein, high fiber meals. I'm all about that. And I do that 80, 90+% of the time, right? But I still, go out on holiday. I've got 2 weddings to go to in September for some friends in Spain, and I'll eat like a normal person. I'm just really good like most of the time, and that's basically how I do it, right? There's essentially 4 pillars to nutrition that you need to be focusing on here, right? You need to make sure that you have a control of your calories, right? This is number 1, okay? It really, really is. You need to prioritize within your nutrition. Once you have your calories, you need to know where your protein is at. If you're not tracking your protein, super, super important. We'll get onto that in a moment. And one thing that is super overlooked, you come into my coaching, you'll know, right? I talk about calories, protein, and fiber is massively important. You hear people, I bet you in the next 6 months or a year, people will start cottoning and they'll be talking more about fiber, right? So get ahead of people. Fiber is super important. These are 3 things you really want to pay attention to, because if you do all of these 3 things, you cannot fail. I'm telling you, it's like you hit these targets on a daily, overall weekly basis, you're good to go. And obviously you need something that is going to fit into your lifestyle, right? It's no good me telling you, do this magical, most optimal diet or something like that, but you're like, Adam, I travel a lot, or I don't like this, or I can't track my macros. So you need to find a way of basically making it flexible and fitting it into your lifestyle. The best diet is the one that you can stick to, right? Now, let's chat quickly about calorie control, right? Like I said, all diets do the same thing. They basically reduce calories, therefore make you lose weight, therefore make you lose body fat, okay? And your calories are comprised of protein, carbs, fats, and then you could put side note there like kind of fiber, but really it's those are the three things that make up the calories, and that's the word macros that you hear of a lot online. Long story short is you probably want a balance of all of these in your diet, all right? And the goal of like calorie tracking and stuff like that, right, is not to get people to track for eternity and for life and to be that person at the restaurant going, I need to bring out my bloody weighing scale and put my food on there and weigh it. That's not the goal, right? The goal is to get really good at it, educate yourself and increase your awareness so that you can do stuff intuitively and effortlessly, and you know that these 5-6 breakfasts contain roughly this amount of calories, and you start to build up a roster of meals. That's the way to do it. But same thing with anything, there's not really any way around, like if you've never done it before, like tracking, learning your calories and all that kind of stuff. And there's a lot of people that come to me and they track their calories, but they don't really track their calories, if that makes sense, right? They kind of go, I kind of track my calories, I kind of did it for 5 days or a week, it didn't work. When you do it consistently, it always works. Sometimes you might need a tweaking of the right numbers to you, but that's kind of how to do it. Quick one that I want to say on a calorie is a calorie, right? All calories are the same, right? They are created equal, but they have a different effect on your body depending on what foods you eat. Because if they come with fiber, nutrients, etc., etc., right? But, 3,000 calories is 3,000 calories, right? Whether it's healthy or unhealthy food, but you should, of course, have more healthy food, right? But like I said, not all foods make you feel the same. That's really important, right? So you see me put comparisons of, say, like a chocolate up on my page compared to like a banana or blueberries. They have the same calories, right? But one is going to actually serve you and nourish you a lot better and make you feel better and not give you highs and lows and dips in energy. And another one is going to like kind of spike your cravings and you're more likely to overeat it, right? So that's kind of like what I mean there. Nutrition, what counts when you are tracking your macros and your calories and stuff, right? Essentially, all sauces, oils and condiments. This is the big one. People always miss this, okay? Vegetables and fruit, they all count. You need to track this. Am I saying don't have this? No, I'm saying that you should include as much of this as possible, okay? And that you should just track them, because oftentimes they can amount to like 200-300 calories in your day, and it's just something to be aware of. Vitamins, fish oil tablets and stuff like that, sometimes these can rack up without people noticing them. So the supplements that you see online that some people buy, it could be like collagen, it could be protein, it could be fish oils. Just double check these, and all food that is healthy, right? If you haven't tracked before, track all of this, you will be amazed, okay? So yeah, and people are always going to ask me this, so I wanted to go over this, and then people are going to go, how do I know what calories I should be on? Okay, this is how to personalize it to you. Okay, there are four parts to the equation for every single individual. It's your BMR, which is basically how many calories you burn at rest, right? The digestion of food, which for most of you is roughly the same. How many steps you do, and the workout that you do, right? The workouts, hopefully, that you do, right? When you add those up, you get your total calories that it costs you doing that on average every single week, okay? That's your maintenance calories, right? And let's say for you that is 1,900, okay? What you would want to do to find your deficit number would be to drop those calories by around 20 to 25%. If you start there, you cannot go wrong, all right? And for this example, if your BMR was 1270, you burn a bit of calories for the digestion of food. You do, say, 8,000 steps or something like that, and you do 3 workouts a week, it's going to be about 19. You do that, you're going to drop body fat. No doubt about it, okay? So you can ask me about this later, because I know that you're going to be like, yeah, asking me about calculations, numbers and stuff. Like, absolutely ask me about this later. And now, protein, you hear this a lot, okay? You see me talk about this on my page a lot, because it is the most meaningful thing that is going to help you improve your metabolism, get stronger, get fitter, help you with your hunger, and actually has a meaningful effect on like the calories and your actual nutrition and fat loss goals, right? So in terms of protein, what are the best sources? It's always going to be meat, eggs, fish, dairy. Should you supplement with supplements and whey protein and stuff like that? Yes, if you struggle, right? And we can talk about good ones and bad ones and what you should be having a bit later. But essentially, more protein you can have, the better, okay? And to keep this really simple for you, right? People are going to go, well, how much protein do I need, right? What does that actually look like, right? It's about 1 gram per pound of your target body weight. So, for example, if you're 150 pounds, right? That is going to be 150 grams of protein or so. It's actually, the number is actually 0.7 to about 1 gram per pound of target body weight, okay? That is that. And the short answer here for all of you, good question, in kilos, 1.6 grams per kilo, right? If you can aim for a ballpark there, you're going to be good to go. Let's say you are, for example, 70 kilos, right? And you want to get to 60 kilos, for example, right? You would take your target one and like 60, right? And then you'd kind of multiply it by 1.6 or 2, right? Anywhere around there with your protein, right? And that puts you in and around 100. And the short answer here, another good question, Jenny, literally just getting onto that, is for nearly all of you, the answer is going to be between 100 to 150 grams per day. If you do that, it will help you a lot. Help you with your hunger, it'll help with all of that, right? And it doesn't matter if you get it in one meal, it doesn't matter if you get it equally dispersed over 3 or 2 or 5. It's the daily total that matters most. Just like steps, just like calories, it's not about individual meals and stuff like that, right? Having said that, the more evenly you space things out, the easier it is to stick to, all right? So that's kind of what I'd say on that. Yep, there it is. So 100 to 150 grams for nearly all women. For most guys, you basically tack on about 50 grams. It's about 140 to 200 for most guys, just in case any guys are ever listening in, right? They sometimes say I don't show them enough love, and I'm like, don't worry guys, I also train a lot of guys as well, and so yeah. But a good rule of thumb for you all is you should be aiming to get 30 grams of protein per meal. Even better, okay, is aim for a 30 grams of protein on your plate, right, as a source before you even start making anything else. So let's say you make chicken couscous salad, right? Start with the chicken, aim that, and then you put that in and you track that and you go, cool, now I'm going to add in the fats and all that kind of stuff, right? Someone asked for kilos for men, grams per kilos for men, so 1.6 for everyone. Right, for girls and guys. It's because guys typically weigh more and they have a little bit more muscle mass, their numbers are going to be higher, all right? But for everyone, if you aim for 2 kilos, sorry, 2 kilos, don't aim for 2 kilos, that's a lot, 2 grams per kilo of your target body weight, you're good to go. So if you're aiming for 60 kilos, aim for 120. If you're aiming for 80 kilos, aim for 160, right? Something like that. And this is kind of what it looks like as well when you eat more protein. So I'm not sure if you know this, but if you eat more protein, you actually burn more calories throughout the day for free, okay? And the way that looks is, let's say you were someone who was not paying attention, which is very common, and will be a lot of you here in this room, right? 50 grams of protein, right? And compared to your new self or someone else who is doing 150 grams of protein. What does that look like, right? Then that person will be burning an extra 100 calories a day for free, because every time you ingest protein into your body, it costs your body a little bit more calories and a little bit more energy to break it down, okay, compared to carbs and fats. Fats, nearly 100% of that goes into your, that you eat is converted like directly into, you know, the calories out. So you eat 100 calories of, say, olive oil, your body digests it, right, you're left with 98 calories. Carbs, about 90%. Protein, somewhere between 70 to 80, right? So imagine for every 100 calories of protein that you eat, you only kind of end up with around 70 to 75, 80 grams of protein, right? So what does that actually look like? Let me just put this into perspective. That in itself, right, is just making this one change will give you all other things. Keep it the same. Forget about adding any workouts. Forget about adding any steps and stuff. Gives you an extra pound of fat loss a month. That is how it works, right? You do this for a month, you will lose this. But obviously, you're going to be even better than that. And you're going to do all the little things that I'm going to tell you about today. So that's why the protein is like really important. And fiber, super important as well, okay? Protein, you kind of are capped with the amount of like physiological benefit, which is a fancy way of saying, you know, how much of that you can use the protein to convert into muscle, right? Because you need to hit that protein target in order to maximize the amount of muscle and strength that you can build and maintain. Someone asked if you eat too much protein, is it good or bad? Short answer is you don't need to worry about eating too much protein, right? It's only usually a good thing because protein is more satiating than carbs and fats on average, right? But when it comes to fiber, the more fiber you get in your diet, right, the healthier you are going to be, the better health outcomes you will have, like linearly. Like 20 is better than 10, 30 is better than 20, 40 is better than 30, 50 is better than 40, like that, right? Super, super important. It also gives you a good idea of that you're getting enough fruit and veg. And we'll talk about numbers and stuff in a minute because you're going to ask me about that. But ultimately, the more fiber you have, the fuller it keeps you, right? If you have processed foods, you will just keep eating, right? That is why when you have chocolate and you have sweets that have 0 fiber, you don't have 1, you have 50, right? And then you're like, oh, crap, I've eaten the entire pack. How did that happen, right? That's kind of how that happens, right? It will help you maintain your energy levels, prevent energy crashes and cravings, super important for that. And your body, like I said, is changing after 40, and you need to nourish your body and actually take extra care so that everything is working and is healthy with your gut. It's super important, honestly. You'll just live longer if you just eat more fiber, I promise you, right? So super important for your gut health. And most people, right, will get something between, that should actually say 15, but it doesn't matter. 10 to 15, 10 to 16 grams of protein. So most people, when they go, oh yeah, I get enough fiber in my diet, consider this. Could this be you, where you kind of go, I put some spinach leaves on the side of my plate, I have a side salad, or I have a few bits of tomato and stuff, right? That's not going to cut it, right, in terms of getting to your actual your fiber target. So your target needs to be somewhere minimum 20 for everyone, right? But the more food that you eat, the higher it needs to be. But 20 to 30 for everyone in this room today is what you should be aiming for. Go back and track that. So I know some of you probably track your calories and your protein. Fantastic. Go back and track your fiber. 98% of people don't do this. And they go, oh my God, didn't realize. You do that, you make some swaps with your fiber, and you're like, oh my God, sticking to nutrition becomes much easier, right? And it's as simple as just adding more fruit or veg. And I'm even going to show you some examples of what is like highest fiber fruit, veg, carb sources, so you can get some take homes today, right? And it's stuff that you wouldn't even think about, right? So yeah, so like I said, double check that, because a lot of people think they get enough fiber, they don't. Super important. Here's some examples for you. I bet you didn't know that the lowest calorie, highest fiber fruit, or highest fiber anything, is actually berries, right? So raspberries will give you 12 grams of fiber. And do you know what that 65 calories is? That's like one of those 150 gram punnets of raspberries. If you eat that in a day, I guarantee, I get, if someone's going to say to me they're really expensive and stuff like that, I get it, right? But like, if you can fit something like that in, whether it's frozen, whether it's fresh, right, the rest of your day will carry you to your fiber. That's it. Like, just get into the habit of trying to have more of these kind of foods, and it will serve you better. Pears and apples, all really good. When it comes to vegetables, right, stuff like carrots and broccoli are really good. And what you'll notice is, I want you guys to be better than everyone else, right? And just kind of think like, food, not all vegetables and healthy foods and fruits are created equally, right? If that makes sense, right? Like, mangoes and bananas are good for you, but they don't have as much. They might have 4 or 5 times less fiber than raspberries and blueberries or whatever. They might give you different nutrients compared to raspberries and stuff like that, right? So different foods serve you in different purposes. It's not necessarily one is good, one is bad, and everyone's like, right, I'm going home after this, I'm getting myself a punnet of raspberries, I'm going down and I'm freezing them all and I'm buying a kilo of raspberries, right? Don't mention me or tag me in that tomorrow. But yeah, that's kind of how to look at it, right? And carb sources, generally speaking, beans, legumes, quinoa, this kind of stuff, really good sources of fiber to have as carbs. There's nothing wrong with having white bread, white pasta, white rice, okay? But just try to make sure that when you do have those meals, pair them with the fruits, like to go alongside it, or the vegetables to go with it to bump up the fiber, right? You can get the fiber from having the whole foods, but you don't have to always. Okay. Yes, kiwis, skin on. Anyone eats kiwis with skin on? I've never done that. I usually just eat the flesh, but I'm absolutely sure that will give you more fiber, because a lot of the fiber is in the skin of a lot of these foods, so don't take the skin off. And then seeds and nuts. So chia seeds, flax seeds, amazing, right? And actually lowish calories for the amount of fiber that you get. Right, you know what I mean, right? So excellent. So you're going to take that home and you're going to be like, great. Gives me something to think about there. Another thing with your nutrition that I want you to think about is you need a flexible structure, right? You need that kind of 80-20 approach. You'll hear that a lot of the time. It's great. It's something that you should be aiming for. If you go too restrictive, right, it won't work for you. Like for me, I personally eat healthy, quote unquote, all of the time, because I know that I have social events, I have weddings and stuff to go to, and when I eat well, I feel really good doing it. It serves me well, and your palate will actually change. The longer you eat healthily for, right, what you'll find is that when you kind of crave stuff like chocolates, cakes, and sweet stuff, right, that goes after you're consistent for like 2 weeks, and you honestly start to enjoy this food a lot more. It's actually a real thing. Someone asked me, what was the fiber per 100 grams of raspberries? About 8 grams. But make sure that you have a flexible approach with your nutrition, okay? Whatever that is for you. That's different for everyone, because everyone has different lifestyle circumstances, and you eat differently and stuff like that. You need something that is also going to help you around social events and strategies there. You need to learn how to eat on the go, and you need to think about things like on the weekly calories. One thing I see people do in my weekly check-ins, every single time my coaching and stuff I see online all of the time, is people be like, I had a bad day, crap, and then they just basically go, they're super binary, and they go either all in or all out, right? It's not like one bad day does not make a bad week. I really want to stress that, all right? Now, signs of a good deficit. Here's something that I want you to think about, all right? You have your maintenance calories and you have your deficit. How do you know if that deficit is right for you? How do you know if that nutrition is serving you? How do you know that you're on the right track now that I've told you all of these things, right? So when you're doing your workouts, you should have energy in your workouts, because if you don't have any energy, your calories are probably too low, all right? Your sleep is good. Your hunger is not overwhelming, okay? And then here's a key one for you all to think about. You are losing between 0.5 to about 1% of your body weight per week. All right? Nice one. So if you're losing roughly that much per week, you're doing really well. So you've got your calorie deficit number, and every single week you're losing 1 pound, 2 pounds. Fantastic. And you can maintain everything. Everything is in a really good place. You keep going. There is nothing to change. You don't need to reduce it. You don't need to add more protein. You don't need to add more this or that, right? That is the key thing here with the nutrition, okay? And this is what it looks like when you actually sort your nutrition out and you actually track and you do things properly. Before Anna came and joined with me, right, she was basically doing the yo-yo thing, starting out all the time, constantly frustrated with, why can't I get rid of this stubborn belly fat around my stomach? It's just hanging there, it's just sitting there, can't do anything, and didn't have a lot of balance. And then after actually implementing the stuff that we'd gone through with the nutrition, she's now basically doing everything on autopilot. She's using 10 times more control, and life is good, right? Everything is rosy. Obviously, it takes a little bit of tracking and a little bit to kind of get into the swing of things. But honestly, like, nutrition is where it is at for 90% of you. It really is. And the strength training side of stuff, we spoke about that and linked that into the metabolism, right? So how is the strength training side actually going to help you? Because you hear that a lot. And I just want to say that, you know, the strength training is what prevents you from basically being old, frail, brittle, and just, you know, you don't want to have that sarcopenia that we spoke about earlier, right? Where you are that person who's losing muscle every single year, right? We want to be 60s, 70s, 80s, hopefully 90s in best shape, actually being super capable, right? I don't want my mum, right, at like 68, 70, just neglecting it and just slowly degrading, right? That is not what we're here for, right? Like I said, we need it for bone density, super, super important. And you ultimately need this in combination with the nutrition to look and feel your best, because you can lose body fat using the nutrition. That's the primary thing that you're doing the nutrition for. And when you once you burn the body fat, you want to make sure that you have a nice frame underneath there. You're like strong, you're toned underneath, right? You want to build your muscles, because that's what gives you the toned and the definition look, right? So that is essentially that. And ultimately, not sure if any of you know this, but you actually burn more calories for free. Imagine, like I said, you have an extra, you spend the next 6 months and you gain an extra 3, 4, 5 pounds of muscle. You burn more calories sitting on the sofa doing nothing. You burn more calories doing your walking, and all of this kind of stuff. We'll talk about running in a minute. Someone was mentioning that. So that's why all of this is like really important, right? It's such an overlooked thing, and it's a thing that will level you up, right? And it's a thing that people neglect the most, unfortunately. And the thing that I hear the most, right? This is what I hear. Oh, I don't really know what I'm doing. I'm too old to do that kind of stuff anyway. Strength training is like heavy barbell stuff in the gym. Strength training is not, right, going into a gym and breaking yourself with the heaviest weights that you can. Strength training is stuff at the gym. It is stuff that you can do at home. It is with circuit training. It is with simple stuff, right? You don't need to make things complex. Probably what is the most common one I ever hear? Don't have any time. It's not that you don't have time. It's that you do not prioritize these things for you, right? And you need to everyone has 30 minutes, because I guarantee half of you sit there on the sofa watching Love is Blind, which is actually a really great season this season. And then you're like, you watch that for an hour and you're like, well, you know, I could have spent like 30 minutes maybe doing a workout, right? Or manage your timetable better. You absolutely can, because everyone who comes and works with me and wants to do the strength training, it becomes a priority for them, right? Someone asked a good question: is Reformer Pilates strength training? It's like yes and no. If you're not doing anything, it's better than nothing, but you need to do something dedicated in terms of like the actual strength training. And another thing, I'll get bulky. You're not going to get bulky, girls, right? Guys never kind of like worry about this, right? I've never trained anyone in my 15 years and someone went, I gain muscle, I'm burning calories for free, I look better, but I'm also too bulky. It doesn't happen, girls, all right? It really doesn't. So what should that look like for you? It's as simple as 2 to 3 strength sessions a week. You do not need more. Can you put in more? Absolutely. What do? I personally do 4 to 5, but this is my job. I enjoy it, and for me, it's not just the physical side, but it's the mental side. For me, it's a release. I work really hard, and I like to go to the gym in the afternoon and let rip on doing some squats and stuff like that, right? But 2 to 3 is all you need. You need to focus on doing compound movements, right? Which, in simple terms, essentially is doing all the big basic movements, right? So that's stuff like just squats, and ultimately you just want to be doing like a leg movement, a pull movement, a push movement, and yeah, just 3 to 4 simple exercises, which will essentially just carry you and do all the heavy lifting for you, so to speak, right? And another thing that I want you to focus on to really level you up when you do this is I've got loads of routines and I can show you all this sort of stuff, right? But ultimately, It's train 2 to 3 times a week, pick 3 to 5 exercises and progress them. That's it. Okay. So essentially what that is essentially, imagine you are doing 10 reps on 10 kilos on your squats. You're going to try to do 12 next time. If you did a plank for 30 seconds, you're going to try to do it for 35 seconds next time. If you do that, that's how you really level up and you actually gain more strength and muscle. Super important. And it does not need to be any more than 30 to 45 minutes in total. I guarantee all of you can do this. Like I said, if my mum can do this, you absolutely all can. Now you're going to ask me about strength training. What's the deal here? You ultimately want to do a combination of both for most of us, okay? Because the cardio aspect of things is what gives you, you should do it for your fitness, for your heart health, and for usually burning more calories, okay? If you want to have that nice toned, defined look and feel stronger within yourself, burn a few more calories at rest, which we all want to do, that's where you need to do the strength training. So usually a combination of both, but I focus on the strength training because it's the thing. But it's a thing that people neglect the most, okay? So that's ultimately why we focus on the strength training a little bit more. And this is someone who actually dropped the who dropped 13 pounds with the strength training and didn't really do too much in terms of like a drastic change, like within I think for Jenny it was about 8 weeks, right? And before she came in, she was like, I feel a bit bloated. I feel a bit like, I'll get this a lot of people like kind of touch their arms and they go, I need to get rid of my bingo wings and stuff like that. And feeling sluggish and lethargic. And ultimately, after you implement like proper strength training in a really simple manner, what you're going to do is you are going to be more toned, more shape, make it more effortless in terms of burning more body fat by having like more muscle, and that's how you kind of get like maximum confidence, right? So someone asked me, is there an advantage to doing strength training before breakfast, or doesn't it matter? Just do it. Short answer here is it doesn't matter when you do it. I promise you. Everything you'll realize is a lot more simple, right? You just need systems in place to make sure that you do it, right? If you want to do it beforehand, absolutely. If you can do it earlier in the day, better, because it sets you up for the day on average better for most people. And the longer you leave your chores, which is usually like your protein, steps, fiber, all of this sort of stuff that you need to be tracking, you leave it late in the day, you won't do it. You'll be like, nah, I'm not going to do it. I'll start next Monday, or I'll do it tomorrow, and you won't do it. Now, you've got all of these tools, great. How do you put all of this together with the mindset, okay? Because you need to fix the mind and make sure that you are consistent with all of this, okay? This is me in, where am I? Italy, France, just doing my thing. I don't know why. I always associate like mountains with mindset, because it's like, for me, it's like a conquering kind of thing, if you know what I mean. Whenever I get to the top of the mountain, I always feel like, yeah, you know, I feel really good. Anyway. So that's pretty much that, and this is ultimately where most people fail, right? And I guarantee most people kind of know what they need to do, but they find it hard to stick to, right? And the reason that you need the mindset is because you need it to basically plan for success. So I want you guys to think about this as well, right? What is your why, right? You should not be doing diets and doing stuff because Susie next door or someone online told you need to do it. You need to be like, I write this down. It's actually really powerful. And you go, okay, I want to do this because I want to look and feel my best. I want to be a role model for my kids. I want to play with the grandkids in the next 20 years. I don't want to be that frail person sitting in a chair. Or, it could be something to do with like health. You've gone and seen your doctor and you need to improve your health markers. Find out what your why is. You need consistency and you need discipline. And discipline is essentially trading off something now for a better future, right? So that could be finding the discipline to meal prep on a Sunday. That's what you're going to do after this. Anyway, so you do that, and you know what that does? Yeah, you spent 30, 40 minutes, maybe you spent an hour, right? But you feel good about yourself, and you save 3 hours in the week, and you save decision fatigue. So it's all about taking actions now that are going to serve you in the future, right? And you need the right mindset to overcome challenges, because you know what, the number one thing that throws people off, it's not necessarily the challenges, but it's how you react to them and not expecting them to be there. So because people start off with like the best intentions, and then they kind of just be like, oh my god, all these, it's so hard to do, and then they kind of fall off, and we'll talk about that in a minute. I'm not sure if any of you have ever seen this before, right? But this will, you guys will have absolutely, this will happen to everyone in some kind of scenario in life. And this applies to fitness, it applies to business, it applies to everything. It's called the emotional cycle of change, right? And essentially there's 5 steps. And you can write to me in the chat where you think you are in these 5 steps, or where you have been. I'd love to know. But essentially, everyone, when you start something new, is in stage 1. Stage 1 is called uninformed optimism. So you have the novelty of starting something new. You know, like let's say you start a new diet, you're signing yourself up for a marathon, Valley of Despair, yeah. You sign yourself up for a marathon, you sign yourself up for something, and you're like, do you know what, I've got this idea that I'm going to get all of these positive outcomes, all of this positive stuff, right? But you haven't quite grasped, like, any of the challenges that are going to come later on down the line, right? So everyone starts here. Now, what happens is with most people is they kind of get to this stage 2 of like informed pessimism. If you're at stage 4, by the way, for anyone writing in the chat, that's really good. This is a bit that catches people out, right? Number 2, you get to something called informed pessimism, and you know what you do? You get to like second week of doing something, you're like, do you know what? This actually has taken a lot more effort than I realised. And good example would be something like, I kind of went on this low carb diet and I just realised I can't do this on the weekends. I absolutely bloody hate this. I feel like I can't do this, right? Or maybe you'd start on a marathon or something like that, right? Marathon training, I'm just giving you an example. And you're like, oh my God, I've only got to do more and more runs every single week, right? And then it kind of dawns on you. And then what happens at stage 3 is people go, nah, this is where 90% of people are, by the way. And hopefully this is where I'm telling you, you're not going to be here, right? Because I'm going to put all of this in place. Is you get into the Valley of Despair. By the way, that sounds like a horrific place to be. I mean, I don't know who named it Valley of Despair. I mean, that sounds like I don't want to be there. You know? But ultimately, that's where most people quit, right? And then they yo-yo and then they go back to stage 1. That is literally what happens to most people. And a good example is start New Year's resolution, New Year's diet. You haven't got any systems in place. You've got no consistency. You've got no accountability. You've got nothing. Get 2 weeks in, you're like, nah, this ain't for me, all right? And then you basically realise that it's too much, you pack it in, and then what do people do? They go all the way back to stage 1, right? But how do you get to stage 4, and what is stage 4, right? Stage 4 is where you push through. If you've actually got the right systems, accountability, planning in place, and you do the stuff that I tell you to do with mindset, which is everything that I do in my coaching as well, informed optimism, where you kind of go, okay, I've pushed past the hard bit. I was a little bit hungry a few times. I had some social events, but you've actually managed it, and you start to see continued progress week after week. And in the context of diet and stuff like that, what that is like, do you know what? I'm not craving sugar anymore so much. I'm not craving stuff like these bad habits of constantly reaching out into the cupboard all of the time. I'm seeing changes. I'm starting to feel positive, right? And that's kind of what that is. And like I said, you need the right accountability and systems and discipline in place to do it. And step 5 is really where I want everyone to be, right? And I get them to a place of, essentially, that's where you've integrated it into your lifestyle, right? And from there, that's where you're like, I'm doing it effortlessly. People kind of start to compliment you. And you know what? You actually learn the skill set from fitness, diet, nutrition, all of this kind of stuff. And you actually can apply it to like other areas of your life, right? And that's kind of like where you quote unquote made it, right? So about 10% of people make it here in most endeavors that they kind of take up, right? So that's pretty much that. I did click the button, but yeah, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 is where we want you to be, right? And just some critical mindset shifts that I'll kind of go onto this before I touch on the last point and close you out, is the most important stuff that you need to mentally start to shift in your mind is, like I said, you need to expect challenges and build them into your plan. So when you kind of start something new, let's say you start your next week and you go, okay, I have some social events, can I plan around it, okay? It's before my time of the month. maybe I should consider that I'm going to get some extra bouts of hunger. How can I manage that? And it's kind of like fitting all of these pieces of the jigsaw in, build them into your plan. It's all about weekly wins over daily perfection, okay? Everything that you do is your weekly actions. It's not your daily actions, right? You can have a really bad day and have an incredible week. It's absolutely, don't look at, it's not binary, okay? And just remember that lifestyle change is not a quick fix, okay? It's consistency over time. And just remember, a bad day is not a bad week. I promise you, I see, this is one of the number one things that I see in the mindset stuff. Is like, I had like a 2 out of 10 week this week, Adam, because like, you know, it wasn't really going so well, and I had a bad Saturday. And then I'm like, okay, so where were your calories? And I'm like, well, my calorie target was say like 1,500, but I ended up on 1,650. And I'm like, okay, great, you've still lost fat this week. Amazing, you're doing great, and you managed to fit in social events and stuff, right? There's a lot of victories that you can see in your progress that are not just scale weight, okay? It's also about your energy, your sleep, how you look in the mirror, how do you feel? Are you feeling more confident? Are you building more habits? Are you building more strength? Are you getting stronger in your workouts? There's so many other things. It's not just all about your weight, I promise you. Everything is always is lagging behind something behind the other, right? If you haven't lost, if you're being consistent with your plan and you haven't, and you've not lost a lot of scale weight in the last week, 10 days, but you're think that you're seeing progress, you're feeling trimmer, absolutely, you're doing great, you carry on, right? You're making progress. And you need to make sure that you have accountability. Like ultimately, the reality is why people come and work with me is they want me to sort everything out for them, which I do. But they need some kind of accountability or structure to put in place, whether that is having friends around you that are very similar because you're the summation of the 5 people that you spend the most time with, finding workout buddies, workout partners, putting yourself in a group, working like that's what, like I said, people come with me because they want weekly check-ins. They need someone to watch over what they're doing, make the necessary tweaks. We'll talk about some of these questions in a bit that I can see in the chat. And this is what happens, who's an incredible example of when you tie all of this together. And this is a 6-month progress. This is literally, I always say, same location, completely different person, right? When she first started with me, she was panicking, just literally couldn't get any consistency. She wouldn't mind me saying that. She had a lot of beach holidays that she wanted to look good for. She's like, nah, always avoid the bikini. So that's pretty much that. And then now she's like completely different, right? And actually since she's done this, she's actually, I think, done like another 17 pounds because she just continues to like lose and lose, and she's like different person, right? So honestly, when you put this all together, super important. And the last bit before I kind of leave you with my closing thoughts is, how do you integrate this all into the real world, okay? Because you need to make it stick, okay? It's all good me telling you this stuff. How do you make it stick, right? And essentially, I would love you to be able to do this in like 4 steps. And I always use 90 days because 90 days is more than enough time to see progress, see change, but it's not too long to stick to for nearly everyone, right? You can see incredible change in 90 days and really like overcome your habits and stuff like that. First 1 or 2 weeks, what I want people to do is really build the foundation and habit and establishment. And you need to make a promise to yourself that in that 1 to 2 weeks, I'm going to track consistently. I'm going to do what I'm going to say I'm going to do. This is where you kind of implement the foundations, and oftentimes the challenges are most in this first 1 to 2 weeks because stuff is a little bit new. And in weeks 3 to 6, right, it's about refining stuff week after week to make sure that you are in the right protein range, like fiber range, right? It's like, because often people will be like, right, I'm in the right calories, but I'm kind of struggling to get to enough protein. How do I sort of change that? So it's all of those little tweaks and building that momentum and starting to see more progress. And week 7 to 10 is where you really start to see like massive change, and you basically accelerate all of your actions, and you start to get 10 times more confident. And honestly, like weeks 11 and 12 is really like the end of a 90-day period where you can really integrate this into your lifestyle, and you can do some amazing things, honestly. Like I said, I've done this for 15 years. I've seen it. So it's all about like, making sure that you have a good plan in place and you can actually integrate this. And this is how I would be building this into someone like over 90 days, right? And people always ask me, is it, these are the sort of people that I work with, and these are the sort of results that we get with Kat and Seska on the right. And ultimately, people will always ask me as well, they'll be like, Adam, is it possible that I can do all of these 5 steps and still not see results? Is that like a thing, right? And ultimately, if you don't have personalized feedback and you don't make the adjustments that you need to every week, you might find that you're going to get stuck, right? And the big one, I don't know if anyone can resonate with this, but honestly, it's like my number one buzzword in my life, I think, is you need accountability. If you don't have systems and accountability in place, it's 10 times harder to stick to, right? It's much harder to do it alone. And what you do need is the opposite of this. You need personalization. You need something that can give you weekly feedback, adjustments, and help you overcome plateaus and stuff like that as well, right? And ideally something where you have a support network to ask questions, do it with someone, and kind of go through the struggles as well, because there's always going to be challenges that you need to overcome, right? And I just wanted to let everyone know here, right, that if anyone does want to work with me after this masterclass, I'll just let you know now about an opportunity for 10 ladies for anyone who is on this call, and usually I open up a few more if I have space in any replay, so I'll let you know about that, right? And essentially, it's for someone who wants to basically work with me to help me take the reins over everything and help you lose your next 15 to 25 pounds. Someone who wants to skyrocket their confidence and feel amazing in the next 90 days. But I always say, and beyond, right? Because that's like super important. Because ultimately, you can do a few things, right? You can continue to keep doing what you're doing, and no one's going to do that. I'm telling you now, no one wants to keep doing what they're doing, because you keep doing the same stuff, you keep getting the same results, which is nowhere, which is most people is yo, right? And the other thing that you can do is you can start using what I have told you today, and you can essentially hope to stay the course and try to implement it yourself and do it alone. Or if you want to, what you can do is you can do it together with me, which is a really great proven way, and I can basically help steer you and work with you, and we actually give you 2 people to work with when you come and work with me to make sure that you are never off track and you get all the help and the support that you need. So like I said, when people come work with me, they work with me initially for like 90 days or beyond if they want to. There's always a special offer for them. And for anyone who does want to work with me, is basically, I will basically personalize everything for you. You'll work with myself and Amy, who is amazing. She's been with me for like 6 years, and you get honestly something that is super personalized. You get access to both of us. You get the personal aspect and the community aspect. And people always say to me, what do I actually get on the program? Because people always want to know this stuff. Is when you come on board, right, you get a personalized plan, right, that is specific to you, so that you have complete clarity on exactly what to do, and we go through that like one-to-one with you on a call, and you have the quickest route to actually get to your goals. You have weekly check-in progress, right, so that you can be consistent and you are held accountable. It's really, really important that we do this. You will see other people and kind of do stuff that is like bi-weekly or monthly. That doesn't work, right? We know that we need to give you help and have a touch point every single week, right? We give you follow-up calls as well, so that nothing is missed and you get a follow-up like one-to-one multiple times through the program. So we make sure that we help you there. I host 3 live calls every single week in my group, so that gets all of your questions answered, helps you keep motivated, and gives you that nice community aspect as well. You get all the workouts sort of sorted for you as well. People always ask me, in terms of the guided workouts, can you tailor them for me in a little bit differently? Absolutely. You've got stuff that I do and film fresh every single week. I can tweak you out gym programs, work all of this sort of stuff with you. And you have access to my inner circle private group as well. So that's pretty much everything that you get. I make sure that you have like all of this stuff in place. Means that you're never 1 to 3 days out from any kind of like touch point. Okay. There's a few other extra stuff as well that you get. You also have access, by the way, to like message me whenever you want, so that you have me in your pocket for any questions that you need throughout the entire week. Don't message me on a Sunday evening or Saturday night. Usually I'll respond on a Monday, but pretty much, you know, we check them 2-3 times a day, and we make sure that we give you super personalized answers on everything. And I keep things super open and transparent. When you come in, you will have seen the 90 days when I run them throughout the month at $9.99. But when you come in, you essentially basically get it for half price, and you get them for $4.95. And there's even a split pay option as well. So if you're like, Adam, I would love to work with you and Amy, and would love to have 2 sets of eyes, and we have all of that accountability and have someone lay it out for me, simple and easy, and absolutely be fighting your corner to get you results. That's essentially how we do all of this. But there's also some extras, like I said. When you come in, you get that starting call, which most people won't, right? So you basically have that one-to-one call. That's either with myself or Amy, and you get access to all of my ebooks, all of my meal plans. Everything is kind of good to go there. And you have access to my coaching app, where you can track everything, message me all the time. You've always got us there, and we give you above and beyond answers, right? I'm telling you, we don't get people in because we want to fill the numbers. We literally have limited spaces for these whenever we run the masterclasses in particular. So if you want to grab yourself something special, then I'll show you how to do that in a minute. And just to give you extra peace of mind, right, I'll guarantee you that if for some reason you're not happy and you're like, Adam, you lied to me, or any of this, like, we give you 100% like guarantee satisfaction. So if you want to back out, like you can do, but that's just to give you an extra peace of mind that if there's something that we don't do, or you want to back out within that first 14 days, you can just let me know. But ultimately, we want to work with people who are serious about change, and we love to keep a really good communication with everyone that we work with and build really good relationship, because the more relationship we have, the better we're going to be able to help you. So we want you to be confident in, you know, actually working with us as well. And then before I open it up to questions, essentially you can do 2 things to grab a space. Scan this QR code here, and it will take you onto a nice landing page video. And then after you do that, you can basically book that first one-to-one call. There's some slots open for next week for sure. Or you can just message me on WhatsApp or Instagram or something with the word interested, and I will send you over the landing page. But if you scan that QR code, if anyone's on if you're on your phones, you can message me interested, or you can scan that barcode on a phone if you're on your laptop or something, and you will go straight to the landing page. And that is pretty much it, right? And if anyone does end up working there, usually I see some notifications start to pop through. You go straight onto the what's it called? Onto the page where you can book a one-to-one call with me. You also get you'll get a one-time offer if anyone wants to do like a beyond 90 days. So you get a one-time discount on there as well. But yeah, that is pretty much that. So with that said, let me see if I can just open out my screen a little bit bigger. So yeah, if you can always just message me with the word interested. And let me just answer these questions. I'm just going to fire through some of these towards the end. Someone asked, but yeah, by the way, if you're from America and people, do you work with Americans, Australians? Of course, it doesn't matter, because like your check-ins and everything, your time zones are like assigned to you, and we just work it around where you are. And actually, 30% of my client base now is actually US, and the other 37% is UK, and then around that is like some other random places. So that is pretty much that. Yeah, there's a pay monthly option. I think in dollars it works out as $650, something like that. But you'll see when you go onto the page, you can scan that and you'll be able to grab yourself a slot. But now is the fun bit, and then we can open it out to, see if I can just make the screen a little bit bigger. If you've got any questions, the best thing that you can do now is, how do I make this different view? Thumbnail view. There. Pop your hand up. You can do this thing. Let me just put my thing on the screen. That's recording. pop your hand up like, yeah, something like that, yeah. So I'm just going to allow you guys to unmute. So if people want to unmute, I know that you guys, I know you're gonna have like loads of questions, so fire away. Don't be shy. Just give me 1 second. I'm just going to show people, if I can remember, how to. How'd you do that thing with the with the hand? Anyway, yeah, like Claire and Debbie and else, whatever they've done there with their hands, that will be ideal. And then I'll just whiz around the room. So, is that how I pronounce your name? Is it Elsk? Yeah?
Yes, it is.
Okay. Well, welcome.
How
are we doing?
You have to hit the react button, and there you can choose raise your hand.
Ah, there we go. She's ahead of me. So, yeah,
Sorry.
There's a react button. Yeah, somewhere on your screens. And don't worry, if you get stuck, don't worry. We'll just unmute yourselves. We always get round there anyway. So, fire away if you've got any questions. Go for it.
Yeah, my question is, can you mention some vegan option, because I find out that helps me a lot, and well,
yeah,
that's it.
Short answer here is, if you are vegan, you are nearly always going to have to supplement with some additional protein. That's just the way that it is. So I definitely recommend that, because you'll for vegans, you'll more often than not hit your fiber target, but you might struggle to hit your protein. And I believe stuff like tofu, soy, edamame beans, that kind of stuff is what you're going to have to pay more attention to if you're vegan. So absolutely possible to hit all of your nutritional targets if you're a vegan. You just need to be more mindful, shall we say, of like your choices. Does that make sense?
Yeah, thanks.
Excellent, nice one. Claire, how are we doing? Claire Costello, fire away. Oh, you need to unmute.
Yes, sorry, just realised that. Hi, thank you. It was really, really interesting. Tracking calories. Do you have any recommendations? I mean, I've tried, I can't remember one of the apps. Is there any easy way of doing it, or is there always just quite a lot of hard work trying to work it all out?
Yeah. So essentially there are a few ways that you can, let me just remove my pin. Essentially there's a few ways that you can do it. You can track calories, and in reality, using something like MyFitnessPal, Noom, or whatever it is, right, is going to be probably the best option, right? Because there is no way of just knowing what is in, knowing the actual nutritional information without actually having the practice of going through that process, right? And I always recommend do it in particular for meals that you have on a frequent basis, okay? So stuff like, you definitely want to know what, like, you know, the 4 breakfasts that you have, which are most common, same thing for lunch, and then you can create a go-to list. And as soon as you get familiar with those, you don't necessarily need to track per se, you just need to know what is in those foods. If you use any of my recipes in my book, or you maybe perhaps have some recipes that you've stored online or something, right?
It's like, got your book actually.
Good.
So
Yeah. When you make anything in there, that gets you to your calorie, protein, and fiber, your fiber goals, without actually having to track, if that makes sense.
Yeah, okay. That's great. Yeah.
You can use meal plans and stuff as well, but I do find them a little bit more rigid. But I always get like 1 or 2 people who are like, "Can you write me out something specific?" And I try to talk them out of it, and then. But I always work with you with where you're at. So. Yeah. Does that answer your question, Claire?
Yes, it does. Stick with because I've tried that before. But thank you very much.
No problem. And by the way, everyone, don't be shy to ask any random questions, whatever's on your mind, just fire away. Debbie B, how are we doing?
I'm good, thank you. You can hear me all right?
I got you loud and clear.
Oh, good. Yeah, I just want to say thank you. It's great. I've loved listening to you.
Sorry, 1 second. I'm just gonna mute
okay.
a few of these ones. Yeah, go on. Sorry.
Lots of great information, Adam. My question is about things like keratin and BCAAs. What's your thoughts on that, Adam?
So BCAAs, don't buy them. It's not worth it. It's a waste of money. Short answer here. If you've got them, they're not bad for you. They're just way overpriced protein. You don't need them, right? You don't.
What about this? What about the keratin?
Creatine is definitely a valid supplement that you can take. It will help you in two different ways. It will help you gain a little bit of extra strength and muscle. On average, it will give you somewhere between 5 to 12, about 5 to 12% a boost in strength and muscle. So it will help you with that, but you will notice it more if you're someone who does strength training already and then you add it in
Yeah, I
afterwards.
do,
Because you're going to
actually.
make so if you do strength training now and you add it in, you should notice a difference. But for someone who's starting out, I'd probably say take it, but not necessary, because you're going to make progress regardless. And
Okay.
in slightly higher doses, it's will also help you with cognitive benefits. So there's actually more than just strength benefits. But the good thing about creatine is it's super safe. It's like the most well-studied supplement that you can buy, and it's cheap. And I like stuff that's cheap, so can't go wrong.
Too much. What's your recommended dose then? Like the amount that?
5 grams.
Yeah.
You
Okay.
don't need, like, if you take 5 grams daily, you'll get pretty much the benefits that you're looking for.
And it's always better, isn't it, just before you do the weight training? Because you've talked about that a lot tonight, haven't you?
Weight training, yeah, all that sort of stuff, super important. And what you'll find is with creatine, honestly, take it any time in the day. Just like your protein, it's because what creatine does is basically you'll take it in as a supplement and it will saturate your muscles with like something called ATP, right? And it essentially give you like a little bit more energy. So
Yeah. And it's always better before a workout, isn't it? Is that the
you don't even have to do it before a workout. It's kind of like your body is very smart. Once you kind of got it up to saturation point, and you've usually takes like if you're kind of fresh to it, a week or two to kind of like build up, and then after that you just keep topping it up. It doesn't really matter. It's kind of like when's the best time to fill up your fuel if you're 90% full. It doesn't matter. You can still work. So I promise you, it doesn't matter. Sometimes I'll randomly take it in the afternoon because I might forget at night. Sometimes I'll take it at night. Honestly, it's just the daily totals that matter.
Yeah, as long as you get the amount. Someone just said, I just noticed in the chat, someone said about any particular brand of keratin. So is there particular?
Good questions.
Yeah, I just saw that, so I thought might as well pop that in while we're
Yeah,
here.
absolutely. Just looking at that, the short answer is anything that says monohydrate. Please try to avoid the gummies, right?
Yeah, I don't do the gummies.
They're more
I
expensive.
started to just start doing the powder and popping it in.
Yeah. Honestly, like just for reference, people, there's a lot of controversy, and this is why I always just stick to the basics. You just can't go wrong. There was a big thing where like they uncovered that like people who are doing the gummy stuff, creatine, it was just like didn't even have creatine in it, and people were just literally buying $60-$90 bags of sweets, and I was like, I'd rather go and have Haribo at that point. So that's pretty much that. Anything that just says creatine monohydrate, that's it. Any brand will do.
Brilliant.
Right? And just an extra little thing, because sometimes again can get quite confusing. If it says something like micronized creatine or some other, like, you can buy those ones, you don't need it. Just get something that says creatine monohydrate. That's it.
Thank you.
Good. Nice. And sometimes people go, oh, I didn't actually think that you were going to turn up on this call and it would be you, and you actually just come here. And I'm like, sometimes you get stuff for free in life, and this is one of those times that you actually get me for free, and you can ask me whatever you want, so no strings attached.
Thank you.
Good. Heather, if you're there.
Hi,
How you doing?
Adam. Hi. Excuse me not putting
No
the,
worries.
the the camera on, but I have to have IV fluids at night, so I'm actually in bed hooked up at the moment.
No worries.
So this is my issue. I've only got a part of my small intestine. I've got no large intestine. So I have real problems with the diet in that I'm not supposed to eat fruit and vegetable skins, no high fibers, nothing like that, which does make it really difficult. I've seen some of your recipes, which is why I've joined tonight, because I could see how I could adapt them and use something that I can eat in their place. And I'm interested in one of your 10 places, but I'd really like to discuss it first, if that's possible, because of my medical stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. By the way, if I think that I can't help you, or if I think that it might be out of bounds, or like like waiting later on down the line might be better, like then absolutely fine. And that's basically why I put the guarantee in. I think we had one lady last time. She had quite a similar thing, and she had like a lot of she was having like sort of knee surgery or something, and she hops on a call with me, and she's like, "Is that okay? Like if I need to opt out or something, like don't worry about it. I'm not a Grinch. Hopefully you can tell. If you need to like opt out or something, just let me know. It's fine.
Yeah.
And I'm happy to give you the time and chat to you for like 20 minutes, and we can go through everything, and you let me know if it's good for you.
That would be great. Shall I just email you, or?
You can email me, or what you can do if you want to, you can grab. If you want to grab one of the places, you can, and then if you need to like back out, you can. But if you've got any specifics, I'd say probably easier just email me, and then I'll see if I can help you first, and then we'll kind of go from there, right?
That would be brilliant. That's great.
No worries.
Thank you very much indeed, Adam.
No worries. All right, I've got an admin who is
Nancy.
There we go. How are we doing?
Hi. I just, when you're working out your target calories, how do you get the thermic effect figure?
It's a kind of complex calculation, but for all of you, basically, I'll tell you how it works. Only because I love numbers and stuff, right? Is for most of you, it's about 80 to 150, right? So the thermic effect is basically it's the number of calories that your body burns and like uses energy to break down the food in your stomach, right? So that's where I was saying, if you have a high fat diet, all right, let's say all of the fats that you eat in a day, nearly 100% of those are converted in. So there's not a lot of thermic effect there, right? Carbs, you have a thermic effect of maybe like 90, about 10%. So 90% of the carbs that you eat kind of end up in the system, so to speak. And the more protein that you have, the higher thermic effect you have. So that's why I said in terms of that equation, might not be a massive equation, a massive part of the equation, but that's where protein can kind of boost up the thermic effect. But for most of you, it's going to be around 130-ish for the average protein diet. Let's say you're having 80, 70, 100. It's not going to be a massive difference, but yeah.
Okay, thank you.
No worries, no worries. Just going across the room, no particular order. Cynthia, how are we doing?
Hi, how are you? Thanks so much for this.
No
I
worries.
had a question about intermittent fasting and the sleep issue, which you just posted on, I think, today.
Yeah.
When there's a week of sleep deprivation, everything goes south.
Yeah.
Your thoughts on that? Both of those things. Thanks.
So on my thoughts on sleep is it definitely needs to be dialed in. You'll always find that people who have like not very good adherence to diet, there's usually a lot of the times linked to sleep. But remember, if you have two people as well, that when you one person's getting the right amount of sleep, one person's getting chronically less sleep than they need. The person who's getting more sleep just burns more fat, period. So you just burn more fat by doing that because you're actually in a restorative state, right? So sleep, I can't stress, is so important. Like I was saying today in my video, there was one day that I'd woke up last week and I just like, you just have one of those days, you're up late, I'm like doing emails, doing check-ins and all that kind of stuff. And I'm just like, wake up the next day and I was just like, it's going to be one of those days. It's just so long, and I'm just like, but super important in terms of sleep. And again, the more you sleep, the more muscle you build, right? It's kind of like when you go to work, you want to make sure that you get paid, right? So when you sleep, you're ensuring that you burn the most amount of fat that you can for what you're doing in that day, and you build more muscle and repair yourself, right? So you need to restore yourself. You need to give yourself that time. And in terms of just a word on sleep, like what can you do to have better sleep? The usual kind of stuff that you might have seen online, which is go to bed at the same times every night. Same thing with your hunger and with your sleep. When you go to bed and you eat at the same times, you find that everything just regulates, everything's easy to stick to. Try not to get those 8 hours, if that's what you're kind of getting at, and go to bed at 9 p.m. one day, you wake up at 6 a.m. and then the next day you try to get 8 hours by going to bed at midnight. Like, try to keep it in and around the same. Get off your phones. I know we're here at 9 p.m. 9 p.m. is okay. UK time. Get off your phones like half an hour before bed. Try to do any activities before you go to bed that are like having a shower, walking the dog, get out your headphones, and, you know, basically don't bring your work life in the last 30 minutes of your day. And there's another thing I'll say on supplements. I'm not massive on supplements, but I do take a few that I think are valid. So I take creatine, I take fish oils, turmeric, which is just general like health supplement, and I also take a couple of sleep and recovery supplements. So magnesium. If you're getting magnesium, get magnesium glycinate, right? Also very cheap, right? So another thing that you can do to help you with your sleep. But as with anything, the supplements are there to give you the little extras, right? They're not there. You're not going to take magnesium like, oh my god, knocked out, all of a sudden getting 10 hours sleep, right? So that's what I say on sleep. What was the first thing you said, Cynthia? Intermittent fasting. Yeah.
Yes, intermittent fasting. And also, could you comment on what type of creatine you recommend?
Yeah. Quickly on the creatine, creatine monohydrate, right? That's it. You don't need anything with bells and whistles. There's no point, right? To just get that. And intermittent fasting is a tool that you can use to adhere to your quote-unquote diet calorie deficit better, right? There is no actual benefit in terms of your body composition compared to a conventional calorie deficit, eating the same amount of meals for 3-4 meals a day. I promise you, I know what the literature says on this, and I've even done all this myself. But if you find it easier to go, cool, 4 p.m. hits, I don't have to think about food, and I'm done, right? It helps me stay within your calorie deficit, then do that. But there's no particular magical benefit. It's kind of like keto or low carb, where people go, you can do it, you can lose fat on low carb, but the mechanisms by which you are gaining muscle, losing fat, and all that kind of stuff is the same. And if you really wanted to be picky, if you do intermittent fasting over a longer period of time, the more aggressive the fast, it can impact a little bit with like muscle building. Like, maybe not that much, right? But let's say you adhere to like eating in a bigger eating schedule of like, say, 12 hours. And let's say in 1 year you gain 10 pounds of muscle. Wow, amazing. I look and feel great. Maybe if you intermittent fasted, maybe you would have gained 8 or 9 if all things were considered equal, right? So just something to think about. But honestly, it's not worth thinking about for the normal person. It's just like, if you do fasting and that works for you, do it. But if not, there's no particular advantage. Hope that answers your question.
Thanks so much.
No worries. Lucy, if you're there. I'll let you try and unmute yourself if you
Sorry,
can.
am I on mute still?
No, you're not. Go for it.
Hello. Thank you so much, Adam. I just want to ask you two quite quick questions. One is,
Yeah.
if I have already reached my max calories, but I haven't reached my protein target, do I still, is it better just to leave it if I'm not, hungry, or do I actually need to eat more to make sure that I've got all my protein target
Sure.
for the day?
Yeah, good question. No, don't eat more.
Okay. So it's more important to stick to my calorie deficit rather than...
Absolutely. Just stick to the calories. Like, the difference between, let's say, getting 85 or 90 grams of protein to like 100 and kind of trying to eat more food to squeeze it in, right? It's not worth it. You can't feel that difference. It's just move on to the next day and try to hit your target, right? And again, it's like a weekly thing. That's why you kind of like, when you don't look at something, don't look at it in a day, just look at it next day. Be like, cool, I'm just going to do my best to hit like calorie, protein, fiber targets, and then that's within the context of an entire week. If you have one lower day, absolutely fine, because
Yeah.
ultimately it's the calories that put you in the deficit, so that your body goes, oh, I have a deficit of energy. Where can I get that energy from? Oh, let me hopefully go to my midsection and take my fat off of there. That's always the hardest place to go, but that's essentially the answer to that.
Okay, thank you. Can I just quickly ask my second question?
Fire
It's
away.
okay.
Go for it.
Yeah, I like working out. I like doing very short workouts, but 6 times a week. Okay, so let's say up to 20 minutes. And sometimes to make it even, it's just good for my mental health, for my concentration. I just feel really good after that. It's the first thing in the morning I do. So, and it keeps me more, in my routine as well. So I can stick to it a bit better rather than even 30 minutes is just too much for me. Sometimes to make it shorter, I do more like a circuit training. So then I have like shorter break in between each workout, if it makes sense. So if I do bicep curls and then I do press ups, I will have like 20 seconds in between because I'm moving on to different muscle.
Sure.
What do you think about that? I don't always hit my failure, but I just don't know whether if there is any point or if I should just do the classic strength weightlifting, with hitting the failure, having longer breaks.
You don't even need to hit failure, like in terms of like you don't have to. No. It's all about it's just like there's so many. I get all of this sort of stuff when people come and work with me on my program and stuff, and they're like, oh, they tell me what they're doing, and I kind of tell them ways that I think that they can improve it. In terms of like the difference between strength and circuit, right? Everything is a sliding scale, right? So. Like look at workouts, look at food, look at everything. Nothing is binary, right? So it's not like strength workout gives you only strength, and running and spinning only gives you cardio, right? There's like a scale, right? So strength training will give you a lot of muscle building effect, or the more of the strength building effect, but you're also going to raise your heart rate when you're training, right? So you're getting some component of fitness, maybe not that much, but when you do circuits, you kind of trade off a little bit of, let's call it, the maximum amount that you could gain from strength, but you also gain the fitness side of things, which is great as well, and you burn a few more calories. So everything sort of sits on a scale in terms of like strength and fitness and cardio, and of course you can just split them out if you want to. You could do 2 strength training sessions a week, and you could do 2 circuits, or 2 circuits and a run or something like that, and that way you kind of get the best of everything, right? But circuit classes give you a really nice blend, if I'm being honest, like of getting everything in that you need. And for the general population, it works really well, right? Even if you think that you are like quite advanced and stuff, right? Most people can get what they want out of a circuit if it's done properly.
Yeah.
Right? Like you push yourself.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Adam.
No worries. Tessa, how are we doing?
Hi there. Thanks, Adam, for everything. It's really great. I've been trying this for about 2 weeks now, and I have never eaten so much food in all my life. I don't know how you can do, 150 grams of protein or whatever. I am really struggling. I am so full, and I can only eat 2 meals a day, because if I have that huge breakfast, it lasts me all the way through till supper time. But then I feel I'm not getting the right fiber and enough protein and all the rest of it. So I think I'm going to have to do some protein shakes. But even if I do those, I think it's only something like 35 grams of protein in one of those. Can you double up on those and do, like 500 mils of liquid for your 2 scoops of protein or whatever?
Short answer to the 2 scoops of protein, absolutely. I would rather you double it up, right? Yeah. And have a massively high protein breakfast, right? And do that to help you get to your target if you feel that you need to, right? I totally hear you. And depending on your calories and what you're on, everyone is completely different. Like no one's deficit is the same, right? Yeah. You're going to have to include, especially when you're in that deficit, you will need to have leaner sources of protein, right? So you will see me put in a lot of my recipes like chicken or Greek yogurt. You'll see me talk about that because I'm trying to the best that I can, like balance the meal out for you so that you are getting in the right amount of protein for like a calorie ratio, right? A good rule of thumb, I've not sure if you've heard me talk about it, but something like 10 grams of protein per 100 calories is great, right, as a protein source. If you're really struggling, aim for protein sources that give you around the 20 grams per 100 calories would be amazing. So that is going to be stuff like lean fish, lean meats, ideally even chicken, stuff like that is a little bit leaner than beef on average. Greek yogurt is super underrated. And you know what, one of the best meals that you can have, always my go-to meal, right, is if you want to smash up your fiber and you want like a high protein, high fiber, low calorie meal, the best thing you can do, get one of those low fat Greek yogurt things, Fage, right?
Yeah.
Put a scoop of protein in there, 40 grams of protein, put a handful of raspberries in there, 12 grams of fiber, 250 calories. Bang. Easy.
Oh wow! So you can mix. You don't have to just mix the protein in liquid because, of course, that's
Absolutely
really
not.
filling as well. Okay, so you
No.
can mix the protein into yogurt. Okay.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
so if you take the protein shake, and that's counted at like a meal, do you have to then balance it and eat some fiber at the same time, or is it okay just to have the protein shake all on its own? So could I do that, let's say, before I go to the gym in the morning?
Short answer is yes, you can. You can just add that in, right?
So I don't need to have, some toast or, I don't know, some.
You don't need to do it. You don't need to do anything. No, the only thing that matters, I promise you, is daily totals. Even more important, weekly totals.
Okay.
Right? If
So
you want to
at the
have,
moment-
yeah, that's it. Go on.
Okay, so at the moment I'm struggling to get the balance when I'm prepping a meal. But I think to begin with, I've just got to work out all the calories and everything, haven't I? And then create my own sort of meal plan from certain, I don't know, 5 or 6 meals and create my weekly sort of food, as it were. Is that how you have to start it?
Yeah, so what I would be doing is if you use stuff out of my ebook, for example,
I do.
that's all stuff that is done for you. So that gets you pretty much to your fiber and protein target. Whether you have half a portion doesn't really matter, right? Like usually I kind of balance them out so that like every 250 calories or so, you're kind of getting at least 20 grams of protein at least, right?
Yeah.
And when you're prepping, start your meal, whatever it is that you're making, and just try to get at least 25 to 30 grams of protein as a source, right? Forget about the chickpeas, forget about the protein from like the extra, just a high protein source if you can. Start with that on your plate.
Is there a plate thing like 50% should be protein, 30% fiber, or is there a sort of like you can draw a little diagram of a plate and divide it up?
Yeah, I'll give you a diagram. This is my diagram. See, this is my hand, right? The fistful of protein, right, as a source is a good rule of thumb. Fistful of like a carb source and a fistful of like, stuff in loads of veggies. But for the protein, a fistful is a good rule of thumb. Get it in, right? And if you've got really small hands, use both hands.
Okay.
Someone wrote that, yeah.
Super. Thank you very much indeed. I'm keeping going. I'm trying.
Excellent. You are most welcome. All right. Van Caroline. Yeah, you can unmute. Find the button. You'll find the button. It'll be there somewhere. I'll give you 5 seconds. Don't worry. I won't skip you out of the queue, and then I'll just see if you can find it. I'll put ask to unmute. Sometimes people do this. Yeah, there we go. Yeah, go for it. You can talk.
Okay. So I was following very attentively, but actually I missed step 5. So you have metabolism, nutrition, training, and mindset, but the last one I didn't catch.
The last one was basically just me kind of like integrating it. I just basically called it integration. It's like how you might actually plan this. It's like a continuation of the mindset kind of thing. I can always go back if you want me to.
So you mean the social space and the friends that you tell about and that they keep you accountable?
I'll show you 1 second. If I just go back here. I think I'm still sharing my screen, right? Yeah?
Yes,
yeah?
I do.
So
yes.
just this one. That was my step 5, right?
Okay, yeah, integration.
Right. It was basically like, this is kind of the way that I do things. Like when I coach people, right? It's all about like we double, triple down in the first 1 or 2 weeks. Like we make sure that, just using myself as an example, we make sure that we like message you loads in that 1 to 2 weeks to make sure that you are building the foundation, the habits. Have you done this? Have you done that? Right? You make sure that you do it, and then then you start to like tweak and refine things every single week once you've got that consistency down, and then you start to see results. You feel more confident, and then you can start to, hopefully by the end of 90 days, you'll be like, oh my god, I know how to track. I don't even need to track anymore. I know what's in this. I know what's in that, and then you don't even have to calorie track all the time. Does that make sense?
Yes, that's what I meant. And I think I have everything. But you said you would share these slides, no?
Yes, I did. Yes. So I'll give them all to you if
Were
anyone's
you-
asking.
Are you
on
planning to
Tuesday.
share these slides?
Yes, Tuesday. Oh, can you hear me?
I can't hear you anymore.
Can everyone else hear me?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Right. Yeah. Oh, I think I might have lost her. Short answer is, in case anyone else is wondering, what am I going to do about the replay? You're all going to get a recording 7:30 a.m. on Tuesday, because I need some time to put it all together, and everyone wants me to give them the protein calculations and all this kind of stuff. So you'll get it on Tuesday. I'll come back to Caroline if she can, because I might have lost her for a minute. I'm going to fire over to Michelle. Michelle C. She's there.
Hello.
How are we doing, Michelle?
Good, thank you. This is my first time sort of seeing you, and so I'm really grateful for what you've shared so far. Thank you.
You're welcome.
This is all really new to me, as in thermic effect. I've never heard of that before. So my main question was, how do you work out what your calorie deficit is for you personally? Because
Sure.
you shared that slide with that sort of formula across it, and I'd never seen anything like that before.
Yeah,
So I was like,
I promise you I was trying to be helpful and not confuse you, because there was a few people messaging me going, thermic effect of what? Yeah, short answer is you need to work out basically 4 things, and I will send you this on the Tuesday in the email, so I'll give you the calculation. Obviously, again, like I can basically work everyone's out. Like that's basically the stuff that I do on my first calls and stuff. But you need your BMR, right? And I'll give you the calculator that I use.
BMRs mean. This is how new I am to this.
Right.
I
That's
just
all right.
thought if I put
Absolutely.
out cakes, crisps, and chocolate, I'd be able to lose weight, but no. Doesn't work like that anymore.
No, yeah, like it's a yes and no. It's like you will do better by eating less of that stuff, but you need to know it's the dose that makes that gives you the effect,
definitely.
right? So BMR is basically how much it costs all of us here to sit in this chair, and how much you just burn in a day for your given weight. That is individual to you. As a magic number for you, right?
Right, so burning without moving.
Yeah, I like that. Call it burning. I should rename it something else. I like that. Burning without moving, right? And for most ladies, just to make sure that you got it right, good. Your BMR will be somewhere between. It's a bit of a range, but let's just call it 12 to 1800 for ladies, right? And obviously the more you weigh, the higher it is. And for guys, that is significantly higher, because they typically have more muscle mass and they weigh more and they're taller and they're bigger. So their BMR is usually like 15 to 2400, something like that, right?
Right, okay.
Anyway, so you got your burning without moving calories, right? Your thermic effect of food calories, that's just the digestion of food. Just put that number as 130. Right? Just a static number. Yes, it could be higher, it could be lower. Don't worry about it, right?
Yeah.
Now, the next one is you have to add in the steps, right? So on average, for every 10,000 steps that you do, you burn 400 calories. Okay?
Right, okay, I don't do it.
On average, right? So if you track it...
Steps is how many calories did you just say? 400?
Yeah, 10,000 is 400, right?
Okay.
If you can put this into like calculators and stuff like that. If you weigh more, you will burn more. If you weigh less, you will burn less. Right? That's why you can see sometimes people who are like, oh my god, I've got like this weight that I want to lose. Like I want to lose say 40, 50, 60, 70 pounds, for example. You'll find that you can make quite a lot of progress, easy progress in the first few months. And then workouts as well. For the average, again, like don't get the average workout that you would do with mine, that is a 30-minute circuit workout, you'll probably burn 250 calories, right? If you do something that is more strenuous and intense, you might burn more, but your daily calories that you burn each day that comes from workouts is only on average around 120 for most people. And they go, cool, that's not a lot for workouts, is it? And I'm like, no, it's not. Why nutrition and steps is the biggest part of the equation.
Right, okay.
You should, by the way, everyone should obviously work out, right? We all know that, right? But
Yeah.
as part of the fat loss thing, like, you shouldn't be working out to lose more fat. If that makes sense. All in the nutrition.
Right.
Once you add those 4 numbers up, you got maintenance, right? So let's say, for example, that came to 2,000 calories, okay? For example, right? Your deficit, start your deficit at 15 to 1,600 to see how you go.
Right, okay. So you want to be sort of aiming to have sort of 500 less than what you would normally have.
Exactly. You do that, you will melt fat off.
Right.
Everyone.
Okay.
Everyone.
Right. So is it a good idea to sort of, I thought I ate pretty healthily, but I haven't lost anything for goodness knows how long. So is it a good idea to sort of track what I'm eating for a week and then see where I'm?
Absolutely. That's an even better, more accurate way to do it, right? I don't really get people to do this because I kind of like, my calculations are always pretty bang on. But if you can track what you eat on a normal week, and it's a quote unquote normal week, and you're like, cool, I'm averaging 2,300. I thought I was averaging 1,500, right? Great.
Yeah.
You take that number, you deficit off that, bang, good. And you'll find that the number is not going to be far off of the calculation anyway. And it doesn't matter what the starting, that's why you might just go straight into it, right? Because you're going to make refinements after like week 1, week 2, week 3. You're going to be like, great, I'm losing 2 pounds a week. I'm losing half a kilo or a kilo a week. Great. You keep going. Nothing to change, right?
Yeah.
And if you're not, you just wind down the calories a little bit more, or that kind of stuff, right? But it's the weekly average of everything that you do that is most important.
Right.
Okay?
So one dance class a week's not enough exercise then, is it really?
Well, in a positive way, if you're doing one dance class a week, right, all of the progress is going to come from all of the food, right?
Yeah.
Let me put it like this. If you do one dance class, you'll burn, on average, from that one dance class, I'm making up numbers here, but let's just say you burn 50 calories a day when you factor that into the week. If you do 3 dance classes, you'll burn 150, because it's let's say you did 3 dance classes, you have to add them up, divide them by 7 to get the average, right?
Yeah. Doesn't sound much when you say it like that, does it?
But you should go and do your dance classes. Definitely do as much movement as anyone can, right?
Yeah, definitely. Okay, thank you so much for that. I look forward to receiving the email with all the info.
Excellent. Good.
Thank you.
Nita.
Hello.
How are we doing?
Yeah, good. Thank you. Thank you for tonight. It's very, very interesting. The one thing, same thing regarding that with I want to work out my calorie intake because I do exercise regularly, and I know the Garmin's aren't totally accurate, but mine works out my average is about 2,700 a day calories burnt, and I've been doing my Fitness Pal at 1,300 calories, and I'm not losing any weight. So I have, in the last week, upped the protein even more, trying to get up to the 150. And for the first time this week, I've lost weight. So I know that there's method in that. The one thing that confuses me with my Fitness Pal is that I think I need to have a look at your calculation to see if my calorie thing is too low, maybe. So I'd like possibly... maybe if I could message you and you could work out what you think mine should be. But on my Fitness Pal, when you enter it in, when you enter your exercise, it gives you those calories it adds them on. Short
answer is don't add them on. Don't add them on. Like, so whenever I do my calculations for people, I make it very simple. I've already baked it into the equation. And unless someone is doing extreme stuff, so I've got 2 people who are working with me, and it's slightly more extreme, like they're like doing triathlons, right? And they do like 4-hour bike rides. That's a different story. Or someone training for the London Marathon, different story. But most of the people that I work with who are wanting to look better, feel better, maybe drop 10, 15, 20, 25 pounds or whatever in like 90 days or beyond, or wherever their end goals are, keep your calories flat. Okay.
Right. Cool. Yeah.
In terms of like your particular numbers, one thing I always say, and I'm always honest with people, is I'll say, go back and just make sure that 1300 calories is accurately tracked. Because if there are gaps and you're like, well, I don't really track the weekends, or if you kind of go back and, you know, just make sure that you're doing everything correctly.
Yeah.
Just make sure that you're tracking everything raw, like your values are consistent. Just all of these little things, nearly all the time. I don't know what it is. It's like they kind of know. This isn't saying like picking on you. But for everyone, they kind of know roughly what they got to do, right? But as soon as I tell them to do it, they go back and check it, and they find all these holes. Right?
Oh yeah,
and they're
totally.
like,
Yeah.
And they're like,
yeah.
as soon as I tell them to do it, it's like something magic. Oh, Adam told me I've got to do it. So I kind of go through, and then they're like, oh yeah, actually, I was just kind of doing that thing with the olive oil, or like I actually realised that I wasn't tracking my weekends, or I thought I kind of guesstimated, and then I realised that I could have definitely have gone over by 1,000 there, and the 1,300 looks a lot closer to 1,500. Right?
Yeah, I know.
And it's
I
these
have
little
noticed
things.
that in regards to training, that because then I get confused really. If I'm training, like this week, I've done 760 minutes of intensity according to the Garmin. That if I'm feeling a bit woozy, I'm then thinking, am I not eating enough because I'm training more? Of whether that
I'll tell you now something really quickly, right? You can fire. I don't mind you firing this across, but if you want to, I can answer this on the spot for you. If you tell me roughly what your weight, steps, and workouts are, I can work out for you on the spot.
So I'm 17.5 stone.
Yeah.
I've got a desk job, so my average steps is probably about 5,000 a day.
Right.
And I work out 5 days a week. So I do rowing on water twice a week, weights and cardio workouts 3 times a week.
Okay, cool.
So like this week it made up 760 minutes. So
got it. So like I'd be putting your maintenance as like just ballparking here, 24 ish, right? 2400 ish for sure.
Really?
Yep. That's just like off the top of my head that I will know that. Something to consider for people is that if you think that you'll have a quote unquote slow metabolism, right, or you'll have a thyroid thing or something like that, you'll only be like 10 to 15% slower. It's not like a half, it's not like a 60, it's not like a 70 even. So something to consider there. So even if you were 15% off, right, let's say instead of 24, your maintenance was like 21, right, or even 2,000 for argument's sake, right, I would be saying that 1,500, even on the low end, would be enough to elicit weight loss. So I would double check and just make sure. For sure, all the extra stuff like more steps is great. Workout sounds like you've got that in a really good place. And
yeah, it's hard to get the
protein.
steps in because I'm in a rowing club. We have to do set training.
Yeah.
When you get home from work at 6 and then train for like an hour, by then you know kids want tea and stuff like that. So there isn't then time to go walking for an hour. So yeah, the steps are always, it's annoying because I feel that I could try and increase that a little bit, which is it's on my mind that I am trying to, and it's getting the balance, isn't it?
Yeah, 100%. But I just responded to everyone in the chat. Yeah, by the way, thanks everyone. Yeah, I think we were saying thanks. It's been really helpful. One last thing I'll kind of close on your point, Anita. Same thing for everyone, is that regardless of the calories that you are tracking, if you feel that you've been consistent for 2 weeks, and I mean like not like I kind of did it or right, and you've been consistent for 2 weeks, and you are not hungry, you need to reduce the calories by 200. Whether you were tracking 800, 8,000, hopefully no one's tracking 8,000, 5, whatever the number is, right? It's just you need to drop it a little bit and then assess your hunger. And then nearly always 200 is a really nice magic number where you'll start to make some nice progress after that, right?
Yeah, cool. Brilliant. All right, thank you ever so much for your time. Much appreciated.
No worries. I'm not sure if Jen had a question, if she wanted to ask me something. She needs to unmute. Ooh. Yeah, Jen in the red, if you had one. Did you have one for me?
Yes. I don't tolerate dairy, and I've been trying to find protein powder supplements, even Greek yogurt, things like that are dairy-free. And I often find hidden ingredients that are part of that dairy allergy. Like, I can't remember the name of one, begins with an L, like lactate or whey. They hide them in these. So it might be dairy-free, soy-based, or almond-based. But it's so hard for me to find things that are really free of everything. And I love a protein powder or shake or something like that. But, when it says dairy-free, often there's hidden things in them.
You can, if you're looking for dairy-free whey protein, there's actually loads of them on the market. You might want to consider trying for anyone. If you're looking for something that's actually slightly less calories, a little bit leaner, whey protein isolate is an option to try. It has like traces of lactose in it. If that's still like not doing it for you, just get like a soy or pea protein, whey protein. That will be just fine.
Okay. And why do you not go to fatigue? Full fatigue on the weight training.
Why don't you go to full fatigue, as in like go to failure? Yeah.
That should be a good.
Because you can do, but if you're on a structured program, I would never put someone on like failure, because you have to take into consideration the aspect of recovery. So I'd say for most people, like you can go really close to failure if you haven't really been training, and you can squeeze loads of benefit out of it, right? But if I went to failure on like all of my sets, I'm quite experienced with training. I do like a lot of weightlifting and stuff like that, and squats and bench press and whatnot. You find that it impacts your recovery. Therefore, you come in next time and you can't hit the sessions as hard, and therefore you can't add weight. At the beginning, you can do it, right? You can do it, but generally speaking, for most people, if you stay within 1 to 2 reps of failure, like you push yourself hard, but not all the way until you're like, oh my God, I can't do it anymore, right? You're going to find that is a really nice sweet spot where you can just continue making loads of progress. And I like progress that goes week on week on week on week on week. You feel better about it. I do it myself. I slow out my progress on purpose. I just purposefully add just 1 or 2 reps every week until I can't do any more, because you're going to get to the point where you can't do any more, which is you're actually getting to the point of where you get to a workout and you're like, oh my God, it's too many sets, too many volume, I can't do anymore. But you want to build up to it. If you do it week on week, if that makes sense.
Yeah, and how much rest period if you are going to failure, say you do upper body?
Depends on what your workout is. It really does depend. But generally speaking, for most people, I'm just going to give you a really general thing here. Anywhere between 30 to 120 seconds. So like 1 to 2 minutes between like any kind of sets or circuits, like aim for that.
Do Monday upper body, and you do full to failure. You want to rest your upper body and not strength train on those muscles for a day, right?
Sorry, can you repeat that bit again?
So you need a recovery day if you're, say, doing weights to failure, and then you take a day off your upper body, and then you resume, like you do upper body on Monday and Wednesday, not Monday, Tuesday, if you're going to failure. You need rest. How much rest do you need?
48 to 72 hours between body parts. Okay. Ideally, you don't want to do something really hard and hit that again within the next day. You want to space it out as best you can, right? You shouldn't really be doing 4 body parts per week. Like 3 should be like the maximum, but that's a little bit more. The more strength training you do, the more that applies. The more circuits and like overall stuff you do, because you like in circuits, for example, when you do like burpees and squats and battle ropes and medicine ball slams, the thing that goes first is your heart rate. You're like, oh my god, I can't do any more. You're working hard, but you're not pushing the actual muscles to failure. But with more strength training stuff, you kind of go, oh my god, I'm doing 10, I can't do any more. Weights 48, 72 hours. Right.
Okay, perfect. Thank you so much.
You are most welcome. All right, I'm going to fire across one. We're doing pretty well today. I've got an iPhone. If you want to unmute, I think you're unmuted. You can chat if you can hear me. It's one of the ones with the hand up. If not, I'll fire over to Anna in a minute.
Is that me? I'm not quite sure whether.
Let me check.
Nikki J.
Yes, I think that looks right. Anyway, if you've got a question, might as well. You're here.
Yeah,
Fire.
I do.
Go.
I suffer from water retention, and I find that sometimes I weigh myself, and I've put on 2 or 3 pounds.
Mm-hmm.
Is that to do with what I'm eating, or is it just me, my age, menopausal?
It's a little bit of everything, and you should just take it into consideration, right? Your water weight is going to be due to the amount of carbs that you eat. So the higher carb foods will make you store more water. If you have more salt in your foods, you store more water. If you sometimes do a muscle building workout, your what's it called? Your muscles will like draw in actual sugars and glycogen into the muscles, so you store water that way. And then there's just this thing called life that just goes up and down, and you just it is what it is. But what you'd want to be doing if you're tracking weight for anyone, something like the more often the better, because it will get rid of the averages, so it will smooth out the averages. And as long as week on week, it doesn't really matter like how much water you store if you're a high, medium, low water person, right? As long as that's coming down week over week or every couple of weeks, and you're making progress, that's all that really matters.
Okay. I also I do boxing twice a week, and then I do aerobics. Should I be doing more weights on top as well, or?
I'd say if you can. Again, everything is a sliding scale. So boxing is a good example. Like you're doing more heart rate stuff, but you're going to build a little bit of muscle doing that, right? Because you're hitting pads and you have to use your muscles, right? But if you can take the goal with like strength training is if you can take the muscles through a full range of motion, and that's what a lot of exercises and workouts don't always give you. And you can do it weight bearing, or whatever weight bearing is for you. Could be body weight, could be with a weight, could be with a kettlebell. I do that. If you can fit in 2 30-minute strength workouts or tack them onto something, that's as much as you really need, honestly.
Okay, brilliant. Thank you. That's amazing.
You are welcome. Good. All right, doing well. Anna C, how are we doing?
I'm good, thank you very much. It was a lovely presentation. I was on once before last time, and every time you speak, you see something new and interesting. So I'm happy to learn.
I thought I recognised an Anna C. I was like, I might have spoken to you before in a previous one. Good. I'm glad that you came a second time. Good.
Yeah, I love your recipes. I did get your recipe book and I love them. So very, I just enjoy listening to you, and you have a lot of interesting and very legitimate, points that we can implement in our journey.
Absolutely.
So simply, just a couple of questions. Chia, it's all over the internet, in smoothies. Everybody puts chia all over, and I've tried. I put it in my smoothies. I don't like the texture. I do whiz it up in my NutriBullet. But I find that, ultimately it literally thickens everything up if I want it in a liquid kind of a form, like a smoothie. And then I end up having to put more almond milk in it. So what is an alternative? I do put hemp parts in, but what would be an alternative to chia, and what are the benefits? Why chia is so important that everybody seems to be putting them in everything?
Yeah, so just a quick one on alternatives. Depending on what you're making, because it could be in smoothies, it could be like energy bars or whatever people are making, overnight oats and stuff. You can put stuff like flax seeds in there. You can put different any other kind of seeds that kind of work. Chia seeds work really well because they are typically, of the seeds, they are lower calorie than nuts. They contain the highest amount of fiber compared to what's it called? all of the other stuff like flax seeds, just by a little bit more. Like people always focus on like what is the highest particular fruit, right? You know, or the highest seeds, or the So that's why kind of people have it. It also gives you omega-3s, which is actually something that you don't get. It's quite hard to get that. It's not in the most like bioavailable form. I'm sort of talking a bit of like going off track here, but basically it's a very good health food, right? And it's very legit, and it's very versatile because it doesn't taste of anything usually, and you can kind of like just put fruit with it. You can put do lots of stuff with it, so it's super versatile and it's relatively cheap, right? So that's why you'll see people talk about chia a lot, and I think it was on the top of one of my like seeds in terms of fiber that I spoke about today. So that's kind of why they go with that.
I just find it becomes gelatinous almost when I do put in a smoothie.
Yeah.
Even though, again, I'll whiz it up with my NutriBullet, but ultimately, if I don't drink the smoothie very quickly, it becomes very gelatinous, and it's just kind of, the texture is not my cup of tea. So
if it's not for you, you don't have to have like chia seeds. I always say to people, look at foods, right? As in like not all healthy foods and foods are created equally, even within the same group. So like not all fruits, not all seeds, not all nuts, like they all contain different levels of nutrients, minerals and vitamins. So if you don't want to get your fiber and your omega-3s and some protein and all that kind of stuff from chia, no problem. I think I probably went like 10 years without having chia seeds, and you'll be fine, right? You can just go, okay, I'm going to get my omegas from like some fish oils a few times in the week. I'm going to get my proteins from other actual primary protein sources, and my fiber from like berries, fruits and veg and stuff like that. So it's all about looking at food like that and sort of how it nourishes you and how it serves you. Everything's just, that's kind of how I look at it.
Okay. And my second question is with regards to the number of hours of sleep. Being a woman of a certain age, and ultimately my whole life I have survived on minimal amount. I've just, even as a child, I slept very minimal when it came to sleep. So for me, you mentioned like 8 hours. Is that the minimum? Like, I mean, I don't think I can handle, that length of time. It's not in my DNA. It's been like this for my whole life. So what is the minimum that would be beneficial for the body to repair itself?
I'm just actually let me just get rid of my share screen so I can. Whoops, sorry. There we go. Make myself a bit bigger. So when it comes to sleep, the way that I'd be looking at it is everyone is different, but most people will need like at least 6 to 7. Is what I would say. But that is kind of individual to you. For me personally, if I consistently get less than 7, it starts to become a problem for me. I can get away with it for 1 or 2 days if I've had like, my sleep's kind of going well. What else did you say about sleep, sorry?
Just the fact that I've never been able to sleep. Honestly, if I sleep more than 5 hours, I'm exhausted the next day. I just
if you sleep more than 5 hours.
I've always been like that from even as a child. And so I've tried, and I found like I just can't function the next day. I'm very tired. I think it's almost like oversleep for me anyway. So, and I know you mentioned 8. I'm thinking there's no way I can, I can sleep for 8 hours, even 6 or 7. So.
There is, everyone is different. You could be part of the small subsection of the population who is on the more extreme side where they only need 4, 5, 6 hours is definitely a thing. And ultimately it comes down to how you feel. If you sleep 5 hours, right, and you're like, that's what I need and that works for me, then fine, right? If I sleep 5 hours, I wouldn't have made it to this webinar.
But am I doing my body a disservice by not sleeping, the length for my body to repair itself? I mean, does the body need a specific amount of hours?
Well, like I said, everything is like a sort of on a spectrum, right? Some people, I've got one of my best friends, he's weird. He sleeps 9 to 10 hours. And he's just, we're just like, Leo, how do you sleep 9 to 10 hours? And he's just like, don't know, that's just what I do. I'm like, cool. I'm like kind of within that average. And then you're going to get people who are like on the lower end of where they're, there can be some people who they do 4 or 5. And I just sort of check like, you might want to kind of check like the quality of sleep and stuff. Like if you're getting 4 or 5 hours and your quality of sleep is really high, and that's kind of what you're getting. And it's just sleep is definitely a bit variable. It's just that 7 to 10 hours is, 7 to 8 hours is just the average, right? Just like average calories that someone kind of should be on is here, but everyone is a bit different because everyone depends how much muscle you've got, genetics, all of that kind of stuff. So there's no right or wrong answer, but it's about how you feel.
Okay, I just thought maybe not having enough sleep would, you tend to lose more or weight throughout when you're sleeping.
Generally, you're right, but most people say the opposite thing. They're like, if I sleep 5 hours, I'm a gremlin, all right? But if you're sleeping 5 hours and you're like, that works for me, and I'm one of those people, then fine. Like you will know your body there, like straight away. Like you just know if you're underslept, right? If you sleep 10 hours, because there's definitely a thing on the sleep side of stuff is. If you sleep, I don't know if anyone else has had this, where like, if you've ever had a day where like, let's say you average like 7 to 8 hours and that's like what you need to sleep well. If you've ever had a day where you get like 10 hours sleep and then you wake up the next day and you just had like one of those mega sleeps, you wake up and you're just like, still groggy for like the first, the 1, 2, 3 hours of the day. I've had that. And then, so like I said, it's not necessarily more is always better. It's just finding where that is.
I just thought it would be okay. Thank you. I just wanted to, because then I'd have to force myself to sleep longer. But I'm good. Good. Thank you so much for for today. It was great.
You are most welcome. All right, I'm going to fire across. I think I've got 3 people here, and I'll open it up to the rest of you. I've got Leslie. If you wanted to ask me anything.
Hi, Adam. How are you?
Yeah, good. How's it going?
Good. Thanks for that class. It was really useful. I've just got one question. I've not done any exercise at all, and I've been calorie counting and things like that. I had an operation last year on my neck where I got a disc taken out and I got it fused and a cage round it due to nerve damage in my arms and fibromyalgia on my back, etc. And I think I'm just a bit worried about even thinking about exercise. Just wondering if you could advise.
Yeah, when it comes to exercise, if you find that you have like some limitations, obviously you need to know what those limitations are, right? In terms of like, I've got a bad back, you might want to look out for like squats and deadlifts, right? So you just find out what those are, right? You're probably going to find stuff that is not so high impact. So stuff like strength training is a good place to start because you have a lot of control over the movements and you'll be able to see that when you go through the range of motion through movements, you'll be like, that kind of feels right or that doesn't feel right. And if something doesn't feel right, you adapt it. If you can't do that, you find another exercise and you just keep replacing them, right? So the best place to start is, again, you will know sort of beyond the scope of this call what is what aggravates stuff, what you can and can't do, and then you just need to build from there. But strength training is really good for that. It's because I get a lot of people going, I've got dodgy knees, bad back, can't do any high impact stuff. Great, do more strength training. That stuff is you've got full control. What you've got to do is squatting is just sitting down and standing up. So
that's strength training as in squatting and maybe sit-ups and things like that.
Yeah, I wouldn't even focus that so much on the sit-ups. I'd pick like 4 to 6 movements, even 4 or 5 moves, and just get really good at them. So maybe it's like a plank. I like planks, are really good. Maybe do a squat, maybe do a glute bridge or a deadlift for sort of the rear part of your lower half of your body. Do a push movement, do a pull movement. That's it. That's it. And then just adapt from there. But it takes consistency in terms of like you've got to stick with it for like a couple of weeks, and then you'll be like, okay, look, this is going well, this is not going well. Everything is like a constant like tweaking stuff, right? Like, I say treat your weight loss and treat your strength training and all that, your workouts like a business, right? If I'm not tracking anything and I'm not paying attention to anything, how do I know what's working in my business? It's the same thing with like everything. If you write down, you go, I did 3 sets of 10 today, or this is what I'm going to do, and you can use apps, you can write stuff down, whatever, then you will know what is working and what isn't. And then you keep making small refinements until you get to the point of, okay, this is working, this is not working, and that's how to do it.
Okay. Thank you very much.
No worries, Leslie. You are welcome.
Yeah.
All right, got 2 left. I can't pronounce your name.
Sorry, it's NJ Weir, so it's just Neil.
Oh, Neil. Okay, that's much easier, Neil. There we go, Neil. Far away.
Yeah, thanks very much for your time tonight. I just wanted to start off. You started off with protein, saying about 1.6 to 2 grams for your target weight. So that gets me to 120 to 115 grams of protein. I've just bought your book, and if I do, I've just had to flick through that. But my numbers, my BMR is 1700, my therm's 80, my steps are 400, workouts are 220. So that takes me to 2400.
Sounds right.
At 75%, that's 1800.
Mm-hmm.
Your ebook that I've just downloaded, they're around about 30 to 40 grams per meal, but they're about 500 calories. So I'd have to have 4 meals, which puts me at 2000 calories.
If you short answer here is literally just have half a serving, or just have 3 meals, or just like the protein per calorie for all of my meals, right, will make it so that if you're on 1300, you're 1500, you're 2500, you're 2000. If you eat basically essentially 2000 calories of my meals,
right,
you'll always be at your protein target, whether you're a male or a female. Like, you're pretty much going to be there. Yeah.
But that means if I eat the 2000 calories, I hit my protein target, but my deficit isn't enough.
Yeah, so you're just going to have to like chop a portion out. You could have three. You could have 3 of my meals, for example, and then you can have half a serving. Or what you could do is you could just make one yourself. Like, I try to give people the flexibility with the meal so that if you have, say, 2 of my meals, and the third meal is like, I kind of paid attention to my protein, kind of didn't, you're still going to be where you need to be, pretty much. Like, I give you a little bit of insurance, per se, right? So.
Okay, so I may not get my whole protein target, but my calories are in check.
You'll always get to your protein target using my meals.
Right.
Always, right? If you eat 1700 calories of food from my ebook, you will be at like 150 calories. You'll be good to go.
Perfect. So I appreciate that. Thanks. Just wondering, I know what you said about getting the slides. Do we get this whole video as well? Because there's been some golden nuggets in the video as well.
Yeah, I invoice you all like £299 for the recording on Tuesday. When I'm only joking. I'll give it to you. Yeah, I'll send everything over to you. You've got the entire recording. You have the pleasure of what it looks like. If I look on the left hand side of my screen, 2 hours, at least 2 hours 20 minutes of everything. And I'm really nice to you because I timestamp everything. If anyone's ever had a replay from me before, so that it's really easy for you to navigate to. Step 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 Q&As, offers, so you can just skip to the bits. So I'll try to sort you out.
Right, well that's magic. And just one real quick thing, I can't see if Jen is still on, but Protein Works do a really good vegan protein supplement, and that's the one that I use, and it hasn't got any of the stuff that she was mentioning.
Awesome, thanks for that. Yeah, in terms of I get asked this a lot. I'm not sponsored by anyone. People ask me about protein brands, Optimum Nutrition, My Protein. I've got bulk powders. I've got this company actually sent me called Legion from America. They're actually quite good. They're also quite good. Yeah, just make sure that you get ones that are, it says whey protein concentrate or whey protein isolate. And if you want the non-dairy, like I think Jen was saying that, if I remember rightly, just pea protein is fine, soy protein is fine. It doesn't really matter. The amino acid profile of that protein is the same, largely the same as like normal whey. So
magic. Thanks very much. Appreciate that.
Nice one, Neil. Band, how are we doing? Oh, unmute. You'll find it. It's somewhere. There we go. Oh, there we go. It's working. Talk. Oh, it should work. It should be working. Like your mic is like you're unmuted, but.
Hello, can you hear me?
Now I've got you.
Okay, perfect. I was trying rigorously and it didn't work. Hello. Thanks for the seminar. essentially my question is about intermittent fasting. As someone who uses intermittent fasting or sometimes dry fasting for 3 days and to manage weight loss, is it okay to consume protein right afterwards? And does the body process it differently? Or is it something that you slowly graduate into?
So, was your question like when if you have protein whilst you're intermittent fasting, does it digest it differently somehow?
Um,
Sorry.
yeah, is it good to transition right into highly proteinaceous diet, or just slowly graduate to
Just get
high
straight into
protein
it.
diet?
Just get into it. Just pick your
Straight into it.
numbers. Yeah. Your body will just. It doesn't need to be gradually like dosed or anything like that. Your body is just constantly reacting to all of this. Your body is probably billions of chemicals transactions kind of going in. So if you just feed it more protein, it will do more of the protein stuff. So you might as well just go straight into it, right?
Okay.
So yeah, just that's pretty much it. And in terms of like if you take it like whether you're like fasting in terms of timing and all that kind of stuff doesn't really make any difference. Again, it's always just daily totals and some for everyone weekly totals for everything, which is the most important thing.
And the totals that we've just calculated, I understand you said it was for the target weight, and those were the figures like 100 grams, for example. Is it idealistic for someone that does brisk walks rather than rigorous?
I think
Asked that question before. Is that suitable for that, or do they need to be adjusted accordingly?
I think you cut out, but I think I know exactly what you said. I think you were basically saying if you do more steps or your workouts change and your activity changes, does your protein needs change? I think that's what you were asking, correct?
Especially someone that does like brisk walks, and it's
Yeah.
not something that built muscle, but I do like my 2 hour walks around the beach or something like that.
Short answer, absolutely not. No. Not unless you are. It's all related to goals, and it's all related to like body weight and how much lean mass you have, whether you're male or female. But your numbers will be specific to you. Don't worry about it if you do 5,000, 10,000, 15,000 steps, as long as you get roughly 1.6 to 2 grams per kilo of target or current body weight, or 1 gram per pound of body weight, you will be absolutely fine, because your body can only do so much with it. Once you kind of get past those targets, like surplus protein, your body just uses it for energy. It just burns it off for energy, right? Which can be beneficial for hunger, because protein is quite a satiating macronutrient compared to most things. And can give you a little bit of a higher thermic effect of food and stuff, but you don't need to adjust it too much. And you get diminished returns, by the way. Good to kind of know for everyone is that like 80 grams of protein is much better than 50, right? 90 grams of protein is a bit better than 80. Like 100 grams is a bit better than 90, right? And then once you're kind of in that target range, you're talking like percentage points, like doesn't really matter.
My concern was it's not straining the kidneys that way. It's so
No.
excessive that your kidneys are working harder.
No. I can tell you if everything I tell you is backed through what I know through evidence. I wouldn't tell you to eat protein if I thought it was going to harm your kidneys. I can promise you are safe. And if most people struggle to get to 100 to 150 grams per day anyway, and if there was any kind of weird, wacky doses, it would be like out of the realms of reality. It'd be like eating, I don't know, like 10 steaks a day and something weird like that. There are people online who do that. They eat wooden chopping boards and do carnivore diet and whatever. But no, you don't need to worry about it.
Okay, thank you so much. Really appreciate it.
Very good. Right, I've got Tez joined in. How we doing? Fire away, Tez.
Thank you, Adam. Really quick question.
Yeah.
Can you add collagen powder as part of your protein daily intake?
Yes, you can. However, I would say with that is that it is an inferior source of protein to regular sources of whey protein. So you would be wanting to take collagen for the purported benefits of collagen rather than taking it for like protein, if that makes sense. Because people take like collagen for like skin, like hair, and like connective tissue and stuff like that. But the evidence is a bit, it's a bit like, it's a little bit hit and miss. But as an amino acid profile, without trying to get too weird and techie, I wouldn't be having collagen as a whey protein supplement, and whey protein is also cheaper, and it gives you a better profile of just protein, because there's like 8 strands of protein, like there's like leucine and all of these sorts of things, right? It doesn't actually contain, or in like very small amounts, it doesn't actually contain leucine, right, which is like the primary protein building block, and that doesn't actually have it, if that makes sense. So yeah, just stick to whey protein unless you want, unless you want to take collagen. Funnily enough, I've actually just bought a collagen supplement, but I just bought it for like a video because I've got to buy weird props. So does that answer your question?
Yeah. Thank you very much, Adam. Thanks.
You are welcome. Good stuff. Nice comments. Good. So Michelle was saying, do your recipes watch fat also? Yeah, my stuff is usually pretty balanced in terms of carbs, proteins, and fats and stuff like that. It's usually, somewhere straight down the middle, which kind of works pretty well for most people. Anyone got any other questions they want to ask me before I start going away? All of my stuff, by the way, so it was good question. Like cholesterol, you don't need to worry about cholesterol. I can't remember what the number is. I think cholesterol is like 6 grams, or I don't know. Basically, you need to be eating like seriously high doses of like saturated fat to be like raising your cholesterol, which is linked to basically less favorable outcomes for cardiovascular health. So I would advise people not to have, if anyone ever's considering it, like you don't have to add like crap loads of butter and steak and saturated fats to your food. They are healthy for you, they are needed, but in the correct amounts, right? Because you'll see a lot of people going, yeah, just chuck in butter, just cook it all in like 15 knobs of it. Yeah, fine, right? Let's all just, the answer is usually somewhere in the middle. L-carnitine as a supplement, nah, not worth it. Don't buy it. Just stick to just all the other stuff works. Eggs and cheese re-cholesterol, fine. I have 4 eggs every single morning, and I am within all of the healthy ranges and stuff. I'm actually getting a health test next week. I'll try to share it with people to let them know what Adam's recipes actually puts your blood work at. If I come back and I'm like, oh, my cholesterol's through the roof, I've got no testosterone, I'll let you know. But that would be quite interesting. And what fat burning supplements, stay away from them. You don't need them. Actually, one of the main ingredients in there is actually caffeine, which suppresses your appetite and increases your heart rate, and people will use that as purported benefit to burn more fat. Someone said, if I walk 6,000 steps, should I add that to my total steps? Absolutely, you should add that into the calculation. If you don't, you'll probably be depriving yourself of more calories, right? You'll be like, oh my god, why is my calories so low? Does your ebook cater for celiacs? Ooh, I'm not sure. Short answer, yes. It's got variety in everything. There's vegetarian, there's dairy, non-dairy. You can pick and choose. It's all labelled in there. Thanks again. Cortisol, good question. Is that an issue? Not really. Not really in like really simple layman's terms, because you release cortisol at multiple points in the day. Like you release loads of cortisol when you work out. Does that mean workouts are bad? No. It's there's certain stuff that, you know, you don't want your cortisol to be like really high all the time. Like if you're super stressed and you're going through like a bad time in life and you're sleep deprived and all this kind of stuff, that's like a different issue. Came to chat very late with everything. Yes, there's access to everyone on Tuesday, so I'm going to give it to you. Check your spams. So just out of interest, while everyone's here, give me a little head nod. You all get the like join the basically the follow-up emails. You all got them, yeah, yeah. Right, and most people did, yeah. Because some people kind of go, oh, I didn't receive it. Kind of went in my spam. Yes, okay, right, nice. Thank you, everyone. Tez, do you have to soak chia seeds, or can you have them as they are? Either or. Doesn't really matter. If you are like Anna and you're like, don't want that stodgy chia seed stuff, then you can just eat them like that, and you'll be fine. You get the same health benefits. You don't have to. Usually, there's very rarely do you have to cook food or change the composition of food to like get a different effect. It's not really too much of a thing. Vitamin B12 is the best way to balance hormones for women. Yeah, actually, the best way to balance hormones. It sounds really boring, right? But it's just doing all the right stuff day in, day out. Like you sleep, that gives you like for example, for a lot of guys, they come work with me and I feel like I've got symptoms of like low testosterone, and similar kind of symptoms I get with like women as well, right? You always look at like their sleep, their lifestyle, what they're eating. As soon as you fix that, that's the first thing you go to, and nearly all of the time that improves stuff to a point where they don't sort of see those symptoms anymore. Quite a few people missed step 5 or something. Step 5 was basically just like integrating everything in. You can watch it on the replay. All good. Any other questions from anyone, or have we got hopefully like some good value? Excellent, good. I'm glad that everyone had a good chat. Hopefully, always chatting, learning new things. That's what all my clients say to me every week. Whenever I do my check-ins, I think that Anna was saying that she's been to like listens to my stuff. She's like, Adam, you always come out with something different every week. Like 1 minute you're talking about my fibre, and then they give me this and give me these little snippets of golden nuggets. So hopefully that is all good for you. Excellent. Greetings from Luxembourg. All right, team. I will speak to you all. DMs on my videos, wherever I see you next, maybe in another masterclass. Love this sort of stuff. I honestly really love hanging out with you guys and spending time with you and helping you all. That really gives me a lot of satisfaction. So until the next one, I will catch you all later. Have a great next week, and I'll see you in the next one. See you later, everyone. Bye. Bye.